Welcome back to our 2-day coverage of two thoughts. One a female thought, one a male thought. If you remember last night, we were talking about the story of Amouranth and how she had a alleged home invasion. But do we believe her story? Well, actually, some more evidence has come out, and I would say it's 98% true. There's always a chance she's faking it, but if she is faking it, she's in a lot of hot water because the amount of faking that she's done is a criminal activity if it's not true. But I think it's true, but like, there's always a measure of doubt. But we got a second thought tonight. A second thought. Not only Amouranth, we have the male thought, the Mimbo himself, Hasan, who is, well, he's been banned, but only temporarily, probably, because he does have the Twitch basically in his back pocket. But if you're unaware of who these two people are, I'll show you who these two thoughts and what they're responsible for. Amouranth is responsible for the hot tub beta on Twitch and writing Pickle Rick while she writes your name on him. This is basically what she did and how she became famous as a live just chatting streamer. She would sit on Pickle Rick, bounce up and down on him, and if you gave her $10, she would write her name on Pickle Rick, and then after the stream was over, she'd rub it all off. She wouldn't even buy a second Pickle Rick. That's what she's famous for, but she's been having a bit of a transformation lately. She's becoming a bit based. She's saying that alphabet people need to go live in the fires of LA, and apparently she's shooting in self-defense people that are invading her home, which is honestly, if that's true, very based. And this is what Hasan is responsible for when his old Brofessor days. Let's see some classic Hasan content. Words of wisdom, as it were.
Things to consider when you're thinking about Lady Gaga as a top contender for Babe of the Week should be the fact that she might have a penis. The fact that Lady Gaga might have a small penis does absolutely terrify me. Come back again next week when we discuss the legendary question of all time: old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark.
That's very progressive from your based leftist, not conservative. Sorry, your leftist political commentator, sir. Old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark. Bit sus, but we'll go back and we'll talk about some things. We might also check in with Pirate Software and see the rest of the thing with that. Where should we start, chat? With Amouranth or with Hasan? Or by liking the stream? There's also a little bit of fallout from the TrashTaste podcast, which is a anime-focused podcast of three gentlemen in Japan. And frankly, I don't believe their lies about how they're coping about this, but I kind of feel bad for them at the same time. And I don't hate them. In fact, one of the guys, I don't know much about, what is it, anime guy or anime man or whatever his name is, Joey the Anime Man. I don't know much about Gigurk, but I know a little bit about Connor, who put out a sort of a cope video that we're going to take a look at later. Show pre-op Amouranth photos? No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. All right, well, let's see. We'll start with Amouranth, I think, because that's the shorter segment, and we should be nice and quick, as it is with most. Well, never mind. So, Amouranth followed up her story from yesterday. Now, a story was that she had 3 men accost her in her house, at her bed, hold a gun to her head, pistol whip her, and then at some point they held a phone to her, and she was able to tweet out, "Help! I'm being robbed" on Twitter, which seems a little bit weird. She even was able to tweet out, "This is not a joke. Call the police." Her story is that they were trying to get her cryptocurrency, but somewhere in the intervening scuffle, she was able to get her self-defense rifle or gun. I guess not rifle. Sorry, her self-defense handgun, and shoot one of these 3 assailants. Who then fled the scene, and then the SWAT cars arrived, and she went to the hospital. Now, we haven't seen any hospital pics. We haven't seen any police report just yet. However, the biggest piece of evidence that I've seen so far, which is why I say that Amouranth is either in hot water or she's completely telling the truth, is that the Houston Police Officers Union, and this is their verified government account on Twitter, Houston Police Officers Union posted out saying, if you have any information related to this aggravated robbery/home invasion, contact the Houston Police Robbery Division and Crime Stopper of Houston. So the police believe this is real. Amouranth has faked things in the past, though, which makes us always that 2% of suspicion. But she also went up and posted another video of the alleged attack, which kind of shows you a bit of what happened. So we'll go in. This is from her. This is a response to her tweet saying, "I'm being too robbed at gunpoint." So let's take a look at this. It's a bit small, unfortunately. But this is from her Nest camera system. And we'll play it through first, and I'll explain what's happening. This is a little bit confusing. Unfortunately, I can't really zoom in, I don't think. No, I can't. So you can see her. This is Amouranth in the front, right here. And she's saying over here. She's got dogs in the yard, and there's one masked man following her. There's two more. You can see that they've got their balaclavas on, and they are holding handguns in this video. Go, go, go. They go into this room. You hear 2 shots, 3 shots. They then start fleeing. And they run around this Jeep, I believe. And they say, open this shit, let's fucking go. Well, they don't say let's fucking go, but they're escaping. They're escaping. So they're fleeing the scene. Now, like I said, this could have been faked, but Amouranth has claimed that there's blood in the driveway, which the police will be taking as evidence. Again, if this is fake, if you fake this shit and then report it to the police and waste their resources, that's a federal crime. Well, maybe it's not a federal crime, but it's a pretty serious deal. And she's certainly convinced the police that this is indeed real because they are reporting it as real and they're looking for leads in this case. But this is a little bit weird. Like, what's going on here? Why are they following her? Why are they going into this room? To break this story down a bit, from what we know, from what she said, is that the main house is over here, which is where she was in bed, and then she was they invaded her home, came up to her bed, held a gun to her, pistol whipped her allegedly, and then they wanted her cryptocurrency. And now 5 days ago, she was talking about how much like unrealized Bitcoin that she has because she bought it in low and just been holding it. So she's kind of put herself up as a very juicy target for these guys. Now, the reason that they're following her through the yard and letting her run is that apparently she was so quick thinking that she said the crypto keys or the crypto wallet is in my streaming room. She has a separate streaming shed where she keeps her hot pool to bounce up and down on Pickle Rick, and she convinced them to follow him to this point where then she goes in here and I assume she pulls out the handgun from one of the drawers. Honestly, not a bad idea to have one if you're a streamer, or, you know, people are interested in like Amouranth, you know. Not a bad idea. And I've always been a proponent of women with firearms. I think that firearms are the great equalizer of strength. Of course, a woman can never really overpower a man, but she can shoot him, which is great. So this actually might be a really good demonstration for or a case study for Branca, law of self-defense. He might want to get in contact with her and try and interview her if indeed this comes out to be true. But like I said, I think this is like 98% true. There's always that little doubt in my mind because it's a little bit too perfect in some of the things. And there was like a phone call we were listening to, which is a bit sus. And they just in the phone call, they described it as one Asian man with a ponytail wearing body armor and underwear. Now that could have been faked. That could have been faked, or the thing could have been real. There is some doubt in my mind. But now that the police are involved, I'm certainly leaning towards this is very much true. She also posted out a couple of things. Let me see. I'm just going to be careful right here. She says she might have to remove the video later because it might become evidence. The high-res vision is already with the cops. And there's a trail of blood along the driveway. Forensics are testing it. She also posted this photo saying they kept shooting my bedroom door and finally kicked it in. So she has some pictures of, you can see the doors being collapsed in on here. And what appears to be, I guess this would be the bullet hole. I don't know. This one looks a bit too perfect to be a bullet hole, but I'm not sure. I feel like this isn't a bullet hole for some reason. This one certainly could be a bullet hole. But you never know. You never know. Why post this? That's a good question. Because they're looking for information and they're trying to get the word out. This video gives people a chance to recognize the voice. It gives them a chance to recognize the people. And as of at the moment, these people are on the loose. They did not capture them, but they have their blood samples allegedly. And like I said, the police are reaching out for information on this story. So it's an ongoing story. But I feel like this is a good deterrent as well. Because if she shows that she will defend herself and she has defended herself, it makes people more reluctant to target her in the future. And like I said, if she did indeed shoot these 3 people that were robbing her, good on her. That's actually really based. And I hope that she did. But we'll have to wait until the police report actually comes out in full to see the proper details. But this is of now an ongoing story that I'm kind of interested in. Unfortunately, she didn't end the career of one of these guys. But, you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how. Maybe he bled out somewhere, if we can only hope so. Now, I guess that kind of wraps up. There's a quick and easy Amouranth section. All right, so we can close these tabs, I think, and go to the stream ban of Hasan. Yes. Aim. We will. I mean, she did. She did defend herself, and it is based if true, but sus. Oh, honestly, if you fake this sort of thing, I'm pretty sure criminal charges are coming for her. Now, the things that she has allegedly faked in the past, so I guess we will talk a little bit about Amouranth for just a few seconds, just for some context, is that she claimed that her husband was forcing her to do OnlyFans content and that she was just a poor victim, and that all seemed to be bullshit. It was just to drum up content, to drum up attention, and this is the sort of thing that she did kind of, not frequently, but like every 6 months to a year or something, so there was some big drama or controversy surrounding her, to boost her up, because she is, I believe, the #1 person on OF. So she's certainly been a very smart businesswoman, if nothing else. And I think she actually like puts her money back into actually buying things like gas stations and McDonald's and shit and Starbucks. So very smart to use what she has to get what she wants, I suppose. But you'd have to be your own judge on if you think that what she does is good or not. But I'm certainly pro shooting armed intruders. So good for her on that. All right, sorry. So back to the Hasan stuff. So to put a kind of vague timeline into all of this, Hasan, I think in late December, that's around late December, early January, is when the content nuke by H3H3 dropped. At this time, H3 and Hasan have been beefing for quite a while, and Hasan had a long string of saying some very ridiculous statements, which frankly were incredible that he was not banned previously. For example, previously he did, well, it's going to come up, I think, tonight later in some of the other videos about this, but one of the things that he did, apart from platforming a Houthi terrorist pirate, glorifying their capture of some Southeast Asian innocent men in open waters, and he sold this as they were taking over an Israeli ship in the canals. No, it was a I actually think it was like a Chinese or Japanese owned ship or something that was being operated. Was it? I kind of forget now, but it wasn't an Israeli ship. It was being operated by Filipinos and Chinese, and the country escapes me. But it wasn't Israeli, and it wasn't in Israeli territory either. It was in open waters, free ocean waters, and they raided it with a helicopter, abducted those people, kept them. They've been missing for a year now. They're dead. They're dead. They're being eaten by fish at the bottom of the ocean. I can only imagine. Hasan glorified these actions and platformed one of the pirates, who they thought, oh, he's so cute. He's like Luffy, innit? He's like Luffy. It's just like my Japanese animes. So he did that. There was a politician that did something he didn't like, and he tweeted out the schematics of the device that was used as an improvised gun to shoot Shinzo Abe. So obviously a very, very obvious threat there. They're like, look, if you keep doing these things we don't like, people are going to come and shoot you. Maybe not me, maybe not my friends, but somebody. And certainly putting the idea out there. He did this again recently, and we'll see from, I believe it's this clip that was posted out by Libs of TikTok. But we'll see that in a second. And I'll get to these chats in a second as well. So that's in January. So H3H3 had enough, made his content nuke, dropped it. Then Hasan went to Japan. Now, this was already previously planned. And he goes to Japan, I think, like not every year, but like semi-frequently. And he's friends with a bunch of guys. About 2 years ago, at least, that was the TrashTaste podcast, and specifically Sea-Dog VA Connor. Now, Connor at this time, like 2 years ago, seemed to be pretty friendly with Hasan, and he was kind of like a friendly guy. Doesn't really stand up that much for himself, I think. Certainly seems like a person that would probably push down their own feelings to try and get things to go along and get things to work, and kind of to be included in this LA streamer circle, which Hasan basically runs. Hasan is got basically all of Twitch into his back pocket. But that was 2 years ago, and he's pretty friendly with this. And Connor's also very friendly with Ludwig. In fact, he was a Ludwig fanboy, and Ludwig, of course, is a Hasan ball washer who will sweep up for him any time that the master demands it. So now we jump back to January 2025. Hasan arrives in Japan, and he starts doing his Japan January stream, where he's like, bruh, I'm not going to watch this content nuke about me. I'm just in Japan, man, and they're obsessed with me. All these people are obsessed with me. They just hate me. They just hate me because they hate me. Whatever, you know, the typical stuff. He then goes on the Trash Taste podcast again, but it doesn't get released until about a few days ago, which is when the next constant drama come up, because it had a very bad response. And we'll take a look at the response to that actually from Connor's video. He posted a video saying how TrashTaste tried to deal with the Hasan controversy. And frankly, I don't believe them. This video came out 10 days ago. It was swamped with dislikes and negative comments. And there's a whole thing about this where they said they had to actually pin a post saying we don't and never delete comments on any episodes. I don't believe this. There was many comments that I saw that disappeared. Now, YouTube does kind of auto-hide some comments, and you can also hide a user from the channel, which then their comments will disappear after a couple of hours. Typically, it's a bit longer, actually, like 24, 48 hours. So they could have been hiding people from the channel as well. But it was obviously a very negative response. And then Hasan's like sent his drones to go and try and defend him in the comments because he's very, very petty. But that's kind of the overview of what's happening there. But, sorry, we'll get back to, got to miss these chats. Baysham with a 5 says, have you ever gone over the transcript of a pirate software's fake lawyer getting blown the fuck out by a real lawyer defending a game dev? Is that with the Stop Killing Games? I think we talked a little bit about that, but I haven't seen that in particular. I do have some pirate software stuff that we watched a little bit of last night that we might finish off the stream with. There's a bit of a thought, I guess, palate cleanser. Emu Warrior says, g'day, Josh and chat. Hell, g'day. And Permaseal Fishing with $9 says, meme, you crap me up. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, so let's see what Hasan, this is what prompted Hasan's recent ban. So let's see what he said.
There's about $50 billion estimated that are lost every year in Medicaid, just in fraud alone. No.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Okay, you wouldn't make Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, Rick Scott, you wouldn't make him a prominent part of the Republican Party.
There's about 50.
And he went on, I think he said this a few more times. So that's some pretty spicy take. Why don't you just start killing politicians? And I think this is related to the Department of Government Efficiency, like cleaning up Medicaid fraud. I'm not exactly sure if what's this guy's, was it Tim Scott was involved in that? But yeah, it's a bit of a spicy thing to say. Bifrons also says it's not fake. I guess in regards to Amouranth, I assume it's real. I'm just saying there's always a 2% chance or something. But following that, Hasan gets banned on Twitch. Now, the problem with a ban on Twitch is ban on Twitch aren't exactly really bans. And Hasan will be back probably in a few days or a week or something. He does have, I believe it's Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, in his back pocket. So much so, they suck his balls so much that they threw a birthday party for, like, they rang him up, or they recorded a video saying, happy birthday, Hasan. And they got everyone in the office to come and sing happy birthday to him. So the idea that he's off Twitch forever is frankly not very believable. Hasan knows this as well. That's why he very confidently posted this video saying, I got cancelled, where he kind of doesn't really care anything about his ban and just goes on to try and talk about his issue more. And then he goes on to explain, I don't want to watch all of his video because it's not that interesting, because basically he's just talking about why he hates this guy that, what is it, Mike Johnson or whatever. He just tries to explain his position about why he doesn't like Mike Johnson. He's like, well, maybe I should have said kill. Maybe I should have said retired or something. But there was one part I wanted to check out on this, which I think happened around halfway through or so. I'm not really interested in his political views. I want to see him defending his. I think it's when he talks about Asmongold. So let's start from here.
I will say.
Sorry, I was listening at 2 times speed because I'm also a schizo.
You know, shit stir a little bit and try to get me banned, which worked.
The clip's too short. Maybe it's out of
context. He's also very angry at Asmongold at the moment. That's part of the story. He thinks there's like an alliance between Asmongold and Destiny that are trying to get him removed from Twitch, which is just actual schizo hours.
Context? I hope so. I definitely do. Hopefully it's out of context. How are you gonna...
Now, once he said this, does Asmongold go back and seek away crazier jokes about Donald Trump? Now, he go back and seek out the context? No, he doesn't. Instead, he follows through, basically packaging this as Hasan is a radical who must be banned. It's a joke.
Well, Hasan is a radical. Whether he should be banned or not is another question. But he's absolutely a radical who has called for violence to get his political aims actualized.
Amount he responds to.
Would you tell that joke about Donald Trump?
I think people would tell way crazier jokes about Donald Trump, and people have told way crazier jokes about Donald Trump. My statement was hyperbolic.
So this is kind of taking Asmongold's statement out of context a bit, because I believe Asmongold said it in a previous clip, or maybe even this clip, but shortened. The idea was that if you made this comment about Donald Trump, you shouldn't be surprised if the FBI roll up on you. And that's true. If you make these sort of statements about elected officials, you have to be a bit careful. The FBI might be taking a bit of a view at you. And this is not just the FBI. It's just Twitch moderation teams, basically.
That much is obviously clear. But the intention of it was not a call to violence directly against a sitting senator, but instead was to show the hypocrisy of the Republican Party in terms of how little they truly care about Medicare and Medicaid fraud. Because
how does that make sense, though? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Now, Hasan goes on to say, actually, I'll see if he talks about this in a second, about another Senate. There was yes, it's in relation to Hear the Gun. So I'll just keep listening to it for a second. Hold on. I'll just take a bit of a chill pill and keep listening.
That happens at the point of the provider and not necessarily in the point of the recipients. They want to cut Medicare and Medicaid for the recipients to the tune of $800 billion. And in order to justify that, they will do everything in their power to lie and claim that it's actually your grandparents that are stealing from Medicare and not people like Rick Scott.
Just a quick comment, though. It looks like Hasan's getting a couple of gray hairs in here. He's starting to become an old man. He's old. He's old.
Because people
I'm old too, but okay.
Like Rick Scott either fund the Republican Party and oftentimes the Democratic Party as well, or they sometimes run for office as Republicans.
Rick Scott has won re-election to the United States Senate. Here are the numbers.
That's the point. Now, should the likes of Asmongold seek out further context? I think yes. I think when you have millions of people watching your videos, it would be nice to at least inform them of what the true context is. And now that this context exists, will Asmongold watch this video? Will he go back and say, hey, my bad? Maybe. I'll be honest. Perhaps he will do that. We shall see.
Donald Trump didn't commit.
Now, there was an earlier part in the video. Like I said, I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but we will keep watching from, I think, this point onwards. Earlier part of this video, Hasan actually said, like, I went back and found the context, which is insane because he was reacting to his own video. So he's like, well, I don't know what Hasan said, so I'm going to go investigate what I said myself to see the context. Like, you don't know what you said? What do you mean by that?
Medicare fraud, but yes, if he did, then yes. Okay, so then no.
He then follows up with,
what is the context for praising a terrorist on stream? He likes One Piece. That's the context. He's just like Luffy for real.
With another tweet of mine. This isn't Hasan's only first foray into political violence.
All right, so this is a retweet by Grums, but Tom Cotton posted something saying, I encourage people who got stuck behind pro-Hamas mob blocking traffic, take matters into your own hands and get them out of the way. So the idea is you'd run them over. And I actually kind of agree with this point. Like, if you want to protest, go protest the officials that you don't like. Don't go protest on the fucking freeway where some guy who just wants to go to his job at like 7-Eleven or something, like, he's going to get fired if you don't move off the fucking thing. You just stand there saying, oh no, we gotta save Palestine. Like, fuck off. Just go protest in the appropriate places. I know that it's civil disobedience. You got to do it to make people unhappy. Go make the senators unhappy. Go make the politicians unhappy. Protest outside of their houses. Don't protest on the fucking street. But anyway, in response to this Senator Tom Cotton saying this, Hasan then tweeted out the schematic, which you can see here, which is the gun that was used to shoot Shinzo Abe. So it's a fairly clear threat of violence.
This was the weapon used to assassinate Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Archive link and reply to his now deleted post. Well, I didn't delete it. Twitter forced me to delete this.
But I'll tell you this, it's not the first time. This is the second time. No joke. Yes, neither of these, by the way, have resulted in any sort of action from Twitch at all. Your Reddit advocated for killing too. Sorry for spam. Yeah, but here's the difference, right? When did my Reddit advocate for killing people? When did this happen? And also, when did I advocate for it?
He also then, to further push the narrative that I am a radical, a scary radical.
What is the context behind the weapon link? It's the weapon that was used to kill a politician, Shinzo Abe. You know, when Shinzo Abe was assassinated by an improvised gun, because guns are typically pretty hard to get in Japan.
Who advocates for violence. He shows this tweet briefly my old tweet that Twitter actually forced me to ban, which is...
So it's an interesting like little tell from Hasan there. It's like he didn't want to delete the tweet. He didn't decide to delete the tweet. He deleted it because Twitter forced him to. Now, what happens when you have a spicy tweet? And I've never actually had one, so I've never had to see this myself, but I know from other people that have. If they find something that they deem offensive, you can appeal it, which they'll immediately decline, or you can delete the post and also agree that you did something bad. And which I think that's pretty shitty. Like the fact that you have to delete it and say, I'm sorry before they let you back into account is actually bullshit. But this is what happened. So Hasan, given the choice, he wouldn't have deleted this tweet. He thinks it's a fire tweet. He's pro this tweet. He still believes in this tweet, but he had to get his Twitter account back. So he had to delete the post. So he's not sorry about any of this.
A tweet where I quote retweeted sitting U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, who was advocating to kill peaceful pro-Palestinian demonstrators.
Okay. Now, first of all, Hasan's going to go on to say that his tweet was a joke, but the senator's tweet was very real. How do you determine which is the difference? Surely either both can be jokes or both can be real, or nothing else. You don't get to have your cake and eat it and say, well, the senator wasn't just joking. He actually wanted people to run over people in the streets. He was actually telling people to go run them over the streets. My tweet about shooting him, though, that was just a joke. No, you don't get it both ways. So either the senator's tweet was a joke and yours was a joke, or his was real and yours was real. Now, am I wrong about this? Anyone?
All the way from April 16th, 2024, almost an entire year ago, where I famously quote retweeted the doohickey, or I guess a meme.
Now he says the doohickey because he's afraid of getting even on his channel where he doesn't want to get it demonetized. That's why he's saying the doohickey instead of the gun, because you're not allowed to talk about guns.
Of a doohickey that was responsible for the assassination of Shinzo Abe. Now, of course, this wasn't serious. I fib. I did this in response to a sitting U.S. senator who had previously in the New York Times written about executing Black Lives Matter protesters by using the military. And this time around, April 15th, was encouraging people. I'm going to read you his words. Senator Tom Cotton said this: I encourage people who get stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic. Take matters into your own hands to get them out of the way. It's time to put an end to this nonsense.
I kind of agree with this take. Now, this is like, do you think the senator actually wants people to run people over? Hasan will have you believe that this is a very serious tweet, but his one is just a joke. I'm sorry, you don't get it both ways. But I kind of agree with this. And I don't want to actually see people get run over, but the idea does kind of make me happy. Because like I said, like the people that block traffic, they're not impacting the senators. They're not impacting the government. They're not making a difference for, you know, Palestine or Israel or whatever they're protesting for. The only people that suffer when you block a highway, you block traffic, is just regular people that just want to go to their fucking job and not worry about this bullshit. Those are the people that suffer. The minimum wage workers, the people that have to get into the city and they have to commute through this fucking nightmare of a world in like Detroit or something, or wherever this happened. Those are the people that suffer. So I actually wouldn't mind as much if they did get run over. But I think this is clearly not meant to be taken seriously. Hold on a second. Baysham with another 5 says, look up Pirate Software, finding out the timeline. It's about the DCMA not selling. I might take a look at that later on. Thank you very much for the $5. We will be looking at some Pirate Software at the end of the stream, but we'll see if there's time for that.
This was, of course, a direct call to violence from a sitting senator. A direct call to violence.
Okay, so that's a direct call to violence, but his tweet's just a joke.
Against peaceful protesters engaging in an act of civil disobedience.
If something like this,
I can understand civil disobedience and I can understand protests, but there's appropriate places and times. And stuffing up some guy that just has to go work at McDonald's or he's going to get fired is not peaceful protest, in my opinion. That's just being a cunt. And I think that you can drive over cunts.
happened in Arkansas on a bridge there, let's just say I think there'd be a lot of very wet criminals that have been tossed overboard, not by law enforcement, but by the people whose road they're blocking.
So he then doubled down on it and said, we do things differently around these parts. I mean, he's advocating for a direct call for violence. I jokingly quote retweeted that statement with the doohickey But of course, that was apparently a bridge too far as well for Asmongold. I'm sorry.
Is there really no thought going on here? That his could only be because he didn't post like anything else. It was just a picture of the schematic for the weapon. He's like, well, this is clearly a joke. Like, surely you should know from the context this is a joke. To this direct and very real call for violence from this senator, but not from me. There's no thought going on here at all here. It's ridiculous.
I've offended Asmongold's sensibilities. Of course.
Now, you have to remember that Hasan is very upset because Asmongold is very popular right now, much more popular than he is. But this was fine when Asmongold was just talking about video games. You could always just say, well, yeah, he's got like 80,000 people watching him and I only have 20,000 or I only have 10,000 or whatever Hasan's diminishing numbers are. But it's fine because it's video games. It doesn't count. It's just video games. But now Asmongold is the largest political streamer as well on Twitch. And that makes him very, very angry because he's obviously such a smart guy. I mean, he's got his I kid you not, these are non-prescription frames. It's just glass. He literally just wears these to look smarter. That's how insecure he is. This is just clear glass. You can look right through him and see it's clear glass. He's even said as much. It's just for appearance.
No comments on Tom Cotton, a sitting U.S. senator, actively urging his constituents to go out and kill peaceful demonstrators who are, dare I say, peacefully demonstrating against a genocide. Well, make no mistake, it's most likely that Asmongold is simply responding to the things that he sees in his chat. Having said that, I wanted you guys to see...
Yeah, because Hasan never does that. Hasan never sits there in silence for 1 minute reading the chat and trying to figure out which way the wind's blowing before he makes a statement.
The full context of the story. I was obviously not...
Like, I know that not everyone will be familiar with his content, and I'm only familiar through a lot of these salacious things that happen because I don't watch it typically. But one thing that Hasan does, which is very, very cringe, in my opinion, is if someone says something he doesn't agree with in the chat, like in Twitch, you can do something where you can click on someone's chat and you can see their chat history. So you can see every message that left in your chat. He then goes through their chat history and then says, oh, 3 years ago, you said something pretty stupid, banned, permanent banned, like opinion disregarded. So it's this massively cringe cherry picking and I think very disrespectful to your audience that has been supporting you for a very long time as well, right? But that's typically his MO, is he looks through their chat history to see if he can find anything else to dissuade the argument around or find some way he can get a W in his, at least perceived as a W in his mind. And then he just bans them permanently, which is kind of funny. Kind of funny. The permanent ban after responding to their argument is kind of funny, but basically just completely strawmans anyone that's trying to talk to him.
Asking for people to...
But YouTube, you can't do this. On YouTube, you can't look at someone's entire chat history. But on Twitch, when you go into the chat, you can click on the button here. Bye-bye, lucky... No. And you can go to, like... it just sees their entire chat history. It also shows you how long they've been subscribed to you, how much they've donated to you, that sort of thing. So you can actually look at someone and say, oh, sorry, this guy actually gave me 5 tier 3 subs. Never mind, I won't ban you instead. That sort of thing. Twitch is kind of like that. X-Kuma with a 50 North Korean krona says, are you going to cover the truckload of Epstein files when it's released after it's scrubbed for anything jewelry related? I guess you mean like bracelets and things like that. Unless it's all literally black pages again. The Epstein files thing, I feel like it's going to be fucking nothing. And I say that because it was released to a bunch of influencers instead of just releasing it like online immediately. And there was something like, what's that guy's name? George Topolopoulos, something, you know, the political comedian. What is it? George Antonopoulos or something? Let me see if I can find this. George Antonopoulos comment. He posted about. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? He makes like political comments. Like one, he's got like a Biden sucking the blackness out of a woman sort of thing because she didn't vote for him. But there was something the White House did which was pretty cringe. And that is that they said that they were releasing the Epstein files. And when you went to the link, it was literally a rickroll. So the White House actually rickrolled people, and which is pretty offensive to the people that are victims of Epstein, or the people that have family members that are victims of Epstein. And the George Antonopoulos guy, whatever, made a comment about that, about how the cops were laughing at people that were literal victims of this horrific sex trafficking and everything, which was kind of interesting because he usually just makes funny comics. But yeah, I did see a little bit about that.
Scott, I think that would be ridiculous. I think that justice should be served, however, and justice
is being served to you right now, but it's only going to last for a couple days. That's the sad thing. Like, Hasan is completely confident and joking about the fact that he's been banned on Twitch because he knows that he just controls the Twitch. It'd be very funny if he's just never reinstated. It would be very, very funny. Take them, like, someone needs to suffer to set an example for the antics that is going on Twitch.
has not been served against Rick Scott in this case. Justice rarely ever gets served.
It's true.
Against rich people.
Against rich people like Hasan, multi-millionaire, LA elite, $3 million mansion, Porsche, all signs of cars, designer clothes, saying "eat the rich." Very ironic.
Who exploit others, against rich people who defraud the federal government.
Fun little fact about Hasan is that he gave his editor a computer, and then he planned to never pay him again. And he was like, "What do you mean? I just gave him the means to his production. He can make infinite money in his free time using this computer I gave him. And all I ask is that he works forever for me for free." Which is basically like saying, "Can you work for me forever for $5,000?"
A $10 million care package with $300 million in stock options for defrauding poor people that absolutely need this medical care. And then Republicans will turn around and act like the real fraud is happening at the point of the recipients and not the point of the providers.
There's about $50 billion.
So most of his apology video slash, I got cancer video is just trying to push forward his political points, which is why I said we're not going to watch the whole thing, just the end part.
Estimated that are lost every year in Medicaid just in fraud alone. No one's for that. We've got to make sure we eliminate it. We have the algorithms now to do that. We have advanced technology to find it.
Thank God for Speaker Johnson.
That is my anger. That is my frustration. And every single person, not Asmongold, but every single Republican operative online, from Tim Pool to Libs of TikTok to many others, know that that is the reality.
Well, I don't think Tim Pool knows anything, to be honest. I've seen a couple of his episodes. It's unfortunate he no longer has his Russian money. Although, who's that skater guy that he's friends with? Ian? That guy's very funny. I want to see more of Ian.
They also want you to be distracted.
Whoa, what does he mean by they?
They don't want you to realize that this is what the Republicans are doing. So I urge all liberals, progressives, or even people who are worried about their grandparents or their parents losing their health care, people who might be worried about their children no longer being able to receive Medicaid, to focus on who the vectors of harm truly are, what they're actually doing, instead of
probably people committing violence against, like you're advocating for, quite literally.
Constantly engaging in petty squabbles. I shouldn't have used the term kill. I should have used either the term capital punishment or just
I shouldn't have used the word kill. Maybe capital punishment. Wait a minute. What does capital punishment mean? Oh, you mean killing somebody? So you're just advocating for the state to murder people instead of... What do you mean by that? Now, he's actually said in the past that he truly believes that if you don't believe with his political takes, you should be sent to a re-education camp. He actually said that when he was still streaming with Ethan. He's like, Ethan asked him, "Well, how are you going to deal with the conservatives you don't like?" And it's like, "Well, re-education will be part of it." It's like, "You mean like re-education camps?" It's like, "Yeah, sure, of course." Holy shit.
Punishment in general. But once again, I've let you down. I've used hyperbolic language, and that hyperbolic language has brought trouble.
There's no language in posting the designs of a gun that was used to assassinate a politician. That's not hyperbolic. That's instructional.
My way, as one of the largest progressive leftist political...
One of, but not. Unfortunately, he has to add in all these caveats because he doesn't want to admit that people like Destiny and Asmongold are bigger than him.
Content creators online in what feels like is a sea of reactionary sentiment. I am promising you that I will try to use more deliberate and more careful language going forward. Having said that, of course, in an 8 to 10 hour broadcast, when I'm constantly in a contentious battle with members of the chat, because there's always free flow
Why are you battling with the
conversation and a
chat?
lot of back and forth going on in the community. There will probably be some moments that are clippable, but I will try to minimize them to the best of my ability. On that note, I love you all, and I will see you when I'm unbanned.
See, he's not even worried about anything. This is just a slap on the wrist. Twitch does this just to seem like they're doing anything. It's like they refer to it more as a vacation over there than anything. But if you go onto Twitch and you try and talk about the right or anything like that, it's a permanent ban. There was a woman on Twitch who literally got fucked. She got bent over a table and her boyfriend fucked her. She got a 7-day ban, and then she came back and she had 1,000 live viewers. That's how Twitch operates. If you're a thought or if you're a Mimbo, it's a-okay, because Dan Clancy, I don't know, maybe Hasan hooks Dan Clancy up with the it is Dan Clancy, right? The Twitch CEO guy. Maybe he hooks him up with all the young LA chicks or something. He certainly is following them, as we know from revealing his own Twitch follows at some point. Aspen Fallen with it too says, if Hasan isn't a psyop, I don't know what it is. He's so gross. I mean, he's just a Nepo baby industry plant. You can see how he started from the Young Turks. If you want to learn more about Hasan, definitely go check out the June the King documentary about him called Everyone Hates Hasan. It's very funny, and I think it's much better than the Content Nuke by H3H3. And it goes because it shows his early life and how he's a child of rich parents, and they didn't want him to go into the army in Turkey, so they sent him to Miami to do university in America. And then he partied away all of his years there, so they had to send him to a different university. And that's when he got involved with the Young Turks. He started his Brofessor life, where he was literally kind of like a right-leaning, more like what's the example of that? What's that guy called? He was kind of like Louder Than Crowder, almost like a carbon copy sort of thing, of that sort of like bro science sort of Chad sort of aesthetic thing, like just talking about banging chicks, stealing their boyfriends, those sort of things. And then he somehow found a way into. Then he like suckled up to Destiny's teats and rode that all the way to the top. And then he realized that if he just says things like "rich people bad," he can become a rich person, which is a very interesting little development. So that's where that is. Let me say. Oh, this is actually one of his. He responded to a tweet saying, "Let's see. I'm sorry. I'll choose my words carefully next time. If I say if Mike Johnson cares," and yeah, there's just more stuff like trying to put his political point forward. All right, so we'll go to the Trash Taste segment. So, as I said, Hasan just came off Trash Taste as well. Let's take a look at. If you've never seen Trash Taste, we'll just give you a little bit of a sneak peek about what the content's like over there. Although my internet's a bit slow. Not my internet, it's my Firefox. It's will be fixed one day. Let's see, will it unpause, or we permanently paused? All right, technical difficulties. Give me a second here. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. I don't know why. Everything's fine until I start streaming. All right. It's probably because all right, here it is. After my Japanese ad. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. Everything was prepared, then it doesn't work. It's always like that. Where's my internet actually? My internet might be going down actually. One of those nights. All right, should be working now. Oops. No, go back to the beginning. God damn it. God damn this. All right. So the first part is called "We Have a Returning Guest." So we'll take a brief. Oh my god! Can you just work for a second? I'm gonna have to go to
Blue Lock is a boy love anime. The only part in Blue Lock that doesn't make it fully a BL, I guess, is that they don't kiss.
They are. Dudes get like giga ram.
No. I get that.
Not all the time.
No.
Jesus Christ.
There's sometimes when you have two characters and they're like, why do I feel tension here? Why?
Yeah.
Why do I feel
always
some
kiss.
tension here?
Okay, that's Blue Lock.
No, they don't have a whole scene about like his aromas.
They do.
There you go. There's your moment of
Hello
wisdom
and welcome
from,
to another
Trash
episode of
Taste.
Trash Taste.
There's your intro to Trash Taste. Let's talk about the boy love animes. Let's get Hasan on to have the boy love anime. Now, that episode of Trash Taste had a very, very huge backlash because it was just released a couple of days ago. Well, 10 days ago, right? So it's it comes out post the Hasan content nuke. And in that interview, actually, which is kind of interesting, this guy, Connor Seadog VA, Hasan mentions that Connor doesn't want to hang out with him in Tokyo because all the Trash Taste boys, they live in Tokyo, and Hasan was in Tokyo for, I think, like 2-3 weeks in the early parts of January. And he was doing like daily live streams, IRL streams and stuff. And one of the things I remember seeing from that, actually, because I was checking in intermittently, is they went to like a hookah bar, and he was like, well, I don't want to smoke any hookah. I might get banned or something, which is kind of funny to see how this happened out. It is a bit kimoy. But Hasan let slip that he was a little bit concerned because Connor didn't want to hang out with him. And we'll take a look at this video in a second, but I want to tell you what I think my headcanon on this entire thing is. Connor I think his content's pretty good, actually. He does a lot of really good videos about Japan, although very infrequently. And he does a lot of charity work, which is really good. And I don't really watch his content, but I've seen his content in adjacent people that do stuff around Japan. Now, Connor came from Welsh in the UK, and he moved to Japan a couple of years ago, I think just before COVID started. But he didn't seem to have an in with the big wigs at Twitch, and he was a bit of a Ludwig fanboy. Now, through his connections with Chris Broad, I believe, that's how he's able to become good friends with Ludwig, and now they do semi-regularly stream together. They do like events, travel things, those sort of things. And of course, Ludwig is one of the prime ball washers of Hasan. And it's kind of his into the LA crowd. So, he's a young guy. He just wants to kind of, have friends, maybe make some connections in LA. And he did go and hang out with the LA crew at various times. But obviously, they did not want him to come onto Trash Taste recently. So I think what happened, because Hasan let loose that they didn't want to hang out with him in person, it seems that Hasan messaged them, or Hasan's manager messaged them. He's like, hey, can I come on the podcast? I'm going to be in Tokyo. And because they didn't want to stand up for their convictions, they decided that they would let him on because they don't want to damage any business connections or friendships with the LA crew that runs Twitch. It kind of makes sense, right? All right, so then we get into, I'm going to have to reset this as well, aren't I? Of course I am, because nothing works ever. All right, there we go. Oops, no, that's not going to work. There we go. All right, sorry. I don't know why all my tabs just freeze for some reason. So Connor goes in to talk about like the controversy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What am I looking at? Latest episodes have been bangers. Well, we're just trying to mix it up and try to do
a little bit quicker. A little bit quicker.
But obviously, occasionally people don't like things, which happened not too long ago as well. But that's a whole thing. Yeah, you noticed. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, and a lot of people don't like this because the way that we handle it, and the way that you should handle a lot of these things when they handle drama,
yapping at the moment,
is that just don't. Sometimes it's just better to just not address anything and just.
Now, I agree with this point. It is good, I think, in many instances of controversy to just not say anything, just ignore it, don't feed the flames, move on, keep doing your thing. Now, if you're doing something criminal, that's probably not going to work. But certainly in this situation, I think it probably would be better if they said nothing. But it seems they took a half measure. At first, they started, and I believe they were, deleting or hiding comments on their YouTube video. They had to come out and say that they weren't, but I don't believe that. And then because they did like a half measure addressing it, saying like, look, we know this is controversial, but we're going to leave the video up sort of thing. People got really grumpy because people hate half measures. Either go one way or go the other. But going down the middle, you're going to get in trouble. So he kind of says something a bit true there, but unfortunately, he doesn't really take his advice.
Let it just fade. Mainly because when things get too heated, almost, no matter what you would say in that moment, people are still going to be going to be unhappy, or at least the group of people that want to know anything like that. If you say anything, they're just going to be more unhappy, and it just adds.
What is that behind him? This is a large plushie of his monkey avatar. He's got like a monkey meme going on his stream, and I think he paid like $10,000 for this to be made, if I remember correctly.
Fire to the flame. So that's why generally we're just kind of like, all right, we'll just let it, let it die down, let them move on, let them get over it, and have their fun for the week. Most of them are brigaders. Well, okay, look, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So This is going to get clipped as well. I know this now. So I want to be very mindful about how I approach this. If I'm gonna mention anything here, is that
and like I should probably mention that Connor, if you don't know, is very, very popular. He's got millions of subscribers, but he has been getting into a bit of controversy himself by saying salacious things or things that people clip and spread around. Most recently, there was one where he was talking about the Mr. Beast and Jake Paul and things like that, and you know, they say sort of things like, "Oh, I would never work with them. They're terrible. Can't believe you'd work with." Like, then it's like, "I can't believe people are clipping me. How dare you?" Sort of thing.
I think there are a couple of important things to mention. So I think, first of all, I think from our podcast perspective and from our perspective, if it is fair to say that if we don't engage in politics publicly, because it's just a mess. None of us live in the US. None of us.
I have seen a clip previously of Connor, and he is acutely aware of the political climate, and he's very sad at the state of the affair of the world. He's one of those people that's like, I know how bad the world is right now. When he starts a sentence like that, you kind of know what the kind of person is going to say next. He's very upset with Trump. He's very upset with Elon Musk in particular. And he's just like, I can't believe the world's so bad right now. While he's living the dream life in Tokyo, spending thousands of dollars on plushie dolls. Obviously, a lot of his audience is upset at the moment because a lot of people that like anime are, I think that like the average person that likes anime is probably more left-leaning than anything else because they're younger, and younger people typically are left-leaning. And those people think that the world's coming to an end. Oh my goodness, they're taking over. The Democrats are destroyed. We're going to be living under the Trump Elon presidency forever. Like, no, it's going to be fine. Just wait a little while. It's fine.
In any of these kind of intense.
But I should go on to say that I think that he kind of is one of those people that absorbs sort of the negativity from what other people are saying online. So if people are saying, "Oh, I can't go to school. I'm going to get deported by ICE," he's like, he kind of absorbs that sort of like sadness. He's like, "Oh, the world's so terrible. They can't even go to school," when obviously that's just delusional.
Political situations. I think it is also fair to say that, why would we bring someone political on? Which I think is a very fair and extremely a very fair criticism of us to do, which I agree with. And then I think the most annoying thing from my perspective and this whole thing is that there were legitimately fans of TrashTaste who were unhappy.
I think something in the range of 4,000 people unsubscribed from their channel, which is, it's kind of a drop in a bucket for like a multi-million sub channel, but it's still quite a significant group of people.
And it's frustrating because you can't see or like actually hear from people who watch TrashTaste or who aren't happy. Because it just turned into like a political dick swinging contest.
I don't believe this at all. So he's saying that like there's so many hate comments and there's so many like raiders or like tourists that are coming to just hate on Hasan, or the people that are Hasan's audience is coming to support the people that like Hasan, and then there's just most people aren't actual fans. Like, we can't hear from the real fans. This is not true. They have a Patreon. They have like their own private Discords and everything. They can absolutely hear from the people that support them, specifically on the Patreon, because if you're a Patreon, you have access to private chat, so you can set that up. So if you're worried about these stream tourists that are, or these video tourists that are coming and leaving these negativity comments, ignore them and go look at what your paying customers are saying. It's not hard. It's just maybe it's too time consuming, right? And you got bigger fish to fry. I don't believe this for a second. Oh, you can't figure out which way the real fans are. No, there's a way to see your real fans. You recognize people's names in chat. You recognize top commenters. You see the people that are actually paying you through the paid channels. That's how you gauge the real audience and not just the gray names, right? Even though there are some gray names that I like in my chat, but I'm just saying the gray names typically aren't supporters. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. I appreciate you all the same. You know, if you just leave a like, that'd be fine. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you can determine who are the people that are tourists and who are the people that your bread and butter guys, right?
About which side, which is bad on our part, because like we've never had any politics or any kind of talks like that in the comments. So I think it was kind of bad of us to kind of almost invite that. Second of all,
so did they actually invite him on though? That's my question. I would assume that he asked to come on, and none of them had the balls to say no.
The thing that was also very frustrating is that no matter what people were saying, there was a lot of brigading on a lot of sides, and I think that two things can be true at once. You know, there were TrashTaste fans who are unhappy, and there also was brigading happening, which is all.
I don't give a shit about brigading. Like, brigading is like free analytics, in my opinion. Am I wrong about this?
Also very frustrating to deal with, because then it's like, okay, now we can't actually listen to any criticism on
Yes,
the
you can.
episode because
Yes, you can.
both sides are jumping in, right? And you know, I even told Hasan, I was like, hey man, can you not? Like,
so he messaged Hasan after the Trash Taste episode and is like, don't send your fans to defend your name on the episode. Just leave the comments alone. The comments are Battlefield. Hasan then, being so insecure, decided to send all of his fans to go to the video and like upvote it and you know, defend him in the comments. Defend Milady's honor in the comments is what Hasan asked his fans to do. Counter to what Connor asked him to do. So I do feel bad for him because I don't feel like he's a malicious person or he's a bad person. In fact, I think he's quite a good person. He does a lot of charity work. He does a lot of good content in Japan that I find at times very entertaining. But like I said, it's typically on other people's channels that I actually see him. But I feel like he doesn't really... I feel like he's the kind of person that just like will put aside his own personal beliefs just to get things done or just to smooth out the waters. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to have a bit more conviction, I think. But he's a young guy. He's like 22 or something, I think. He's pretty young. Zadok Attack with a big $50 says, appreciate my grey name, Mr. Meme. Suffer my money, Meme. Suffer my money. Hey, look, I want to take Sean's policy on board and pray the grey away. But I think I get more super chats than I get memberships, though. Although, speaking about super chats and memberships, I just did all the data today for the Rakata Grift report. So I've put everything up. I've got all the data from every live stream I've ever talked about Rakata. I've got all the ad revenue. I've got all the super chats. I've got all the memberships. And I'm putting it together into a very powerful PowerPoint presentation about how much I've grifted off the entire situation, which will be, it'll be a stream goal the next time we talk about Rakata. So you can look forward to that. I know some people are very interested to know about how much I've actually successfully grifted, even though I would have done it for free. But it was good that I made money from it as well. The Last Appeal with the £2 says, do you think Will Heron is a converted baldo washer? I don't think so. What is something gone on? I've talked to Will Heron once or twice. He seems nice. I think he's just he's interested in the drama. Is he defending Nick now or something? I don't know. I have to check that out.
It's bad enough that one side is doing this. Please don't bring up the fucking episode and be like, hey, send people. You know, I was like, you know, just be above this, you know. Don't do this. You know, because look, if
asking Hasan to be above anything is just not going to work. It's completely one-dimensional. And he's just going to go there because he's butthurt.
If people who have very extreme beliefs want to go crazy, I can't stop them. They can do whatever they want. But you hope that at least, you know, another side wouldn't do that as well. So I told him, I was like, hey, please don't do that. And he was like, yeah, man, okay, my bad. But I think as well, you know, I told Hasan as well, I was like, hey, look.
Oh, look. Oh, wait, you know what? I'm not going to skip this out. This is Kumo desu ka Nanika. It's about a cute high school girl that gets isekai'd into becoming a spider in a dungeon. Wow. That's a lot of free players.
The show is not political. We don't want to deal with politics. You know, we're most likely not going to have you on again. No,
right, so Hasan has been banned from Trash Taste in the future, and they're not political podcast. God damn it. Sorry. I saw so much money and my brain stopped working. No. But the idea that they didn't know that Hasan was actively the most controversial and most political person on Twitch, I frankly do not believe. Because from the implication that Hasan said, they didn't want to hang out with him because of the controversy surrounding him. He is marketed as a political streamer for at least the last 5 years. Am I wrong here? Like maybe even longer, maybe like a decade or something. He's the leftist politic guy on Twitch. That's all that he does, and he's aware of the reactions. He's aware of the things that people say about him because he complains about how Connor will complain about how Asmongold responds to things. So he's obviously seen the videos.
Not like anything like, hey man, you know, it's just like, look, we don't want to fucking deal with politics. I think the trash.
Don't invite a controversial leftist politics streamer who makes everything about politics. He literally went on there and said that One Piece is political because Luffy is a pirate and he's standing up against an oppressive government. What is it? How does the boy love work into his political arguments? I wonder. The BL animes. What was it? Blue Star or something?
His viewers also don't fucking want to deal with intense fucking comments. It sucks to read. People just getting fucking upset as shit about.
I will say that if you're upset about YouTube comments, then you're doing your life wrong. Like, just don't look at the comments or just don't respond to the comments if they make you upset. If you're getting upset by what somebody else said on a YouTube video, maybe you need to take a step back. Just have fun, just troll, leave a funny, spicy comment or something like that, right?
At it. And I know some like fans of Hasan will be annoyed about that. But, you know, I just told him, I was like, look, at the end of the day, we don't want to invite like a fucking shit show to the comments. And I think it was ignorant on our part to think that if we just didn't talk about politics, that it would stay out of it. Because that was our thinking, you know, because we already had him on once and it was fine. But some people were angry.
Okay, so you already knew that he was a controversial figure
about it. But yeah, I mean, it was ignorant on our part to think that, you know, if you didn't talk about politics, it wouldn't matter. But yeah, you know, a lot of things have changed in 2 years. I don't keep up with what's going on. You know,
I don't believe this at all. I'm sorry. There's no way you don't know what's going on when you spend such time on the internet being involved in these streamer circles. He's personally friends with Ludwig, who is always talking about Hasan and defending his lady's honor against Asmongold and shit. There's no way they don't know. He's been to the LA parties. There's no way they don't know who he is. This is all Hasan does. Hasan doesn't play video games. At least he hasn't in years.
I get all of my news from the BBC. I don't go on Twitter. I uninstalled it. You know, I think all of us were kind of blindsided by it. So
no, I think that they would have. I think what happened, like I said, I think that they felt compelled to bring him on and they didn't really want to. But I think they would get away with it. Like maybe it would be like sometimes controversy is a little bit good for publicity, but they got absolutely blown the fuck out by anyone. And then when people started accusing them of deleting comments, which I absolutely believe they did, and if they did not, and they posted like I said, they posted a statement saying we do not delete comments. They either deleted comments or they hid people from the channel. And that's like one of those little like lawyerisms, right? Where it's like, well, we never deleted any comments. We just hid them. They're still there. They just hid it. I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't Connor. Maybe it wasn't Gigurk. Well, maybe it wasn't Joey, the anime dude or whatever. But somebody, probably the producer, was going through and hiding comments because they wanted people to have the impression that it was a well-received episode. You know, you saw the beginning. They're laughing. They're yucking it up about the boy love anime. They thought this would be well received, or at least spicy enough to get a little bit of good controversy.
It was kind of, you know, a lot of people like they're out of touch. I'm like, I guess, like, I think that's safe to say if being in touch is living on Twitter and engaging with politics 24/7, because we just don't do that. We've never done that. I think
it's not true, by the way. They have made comments about the political climate at times. Not like a frequent thing, but they do know about it.
It's unhealthy. I feel like the level of vitriol is almost like at a point that is so like toxic to everyone involved that I have no wish to engage with it. And so I just don't. You know, I keep up with,
apart from now when you're engaging in it, but yeah, apart from that time.
Generic news, but I don't engage with any political spheres online. Like
yeah, I mean, except for Hasan.
So it's kind of hard to keep up with.
He does have a nice coffee machine, though. I did see that once. He's got like one of those like Nespresso machines. I'm kind of envious of that. I don't have one. But you know, the funny thing about those is the Nespresso pods are like 40 cents each or something like that, and it seems like a great deal. But if you just comparatively to buying like a cup of instant, like a jar of instant coffee, it's like $46 for a jar of instant coffee if you're using the Nespresso things.
It's endless doom scroll. And I also think as well, I think it's really important to mention as well that I think some people forget as well, just because we speak English, and a lot of our viewers are American. You know, none of us have ever lived in America. None of us are American. We don't keep up with what is going on. I already see too much politics from a country I don't live in.
I thought he already sees too much politics, but I thought you didn't follow it.
Don't want to know. I see more about that than my home, the UK, which is crazy.
Because nothing happens there.
And Japan as well. I get fed fucking more American stuff. I turn on the news. It's all American stuff.
Yeah, because the elections are happening. It's big news. And, you know, make of it what you will, America does set the tone for global politics.
You know, and I think it's also important to mention that I think that, again, there were Trash Taste viewers who didn't like the episode and don't agree with it and who are disappointed. And I think that's valid, you know. I think it's fair to be.
It's heckin' valid. Yes.
But obviously it doesn't, you know, just because we have someone on doesn't mean we agree with every single thing that they would say either.
I don't think anyone brought that conclusion up, though. Like, they're bringing on Hasan, so that means that they agree with his takes on that America deserved 9/11. That's not the issue. The issue is you're platforming someone that has been reveling and enjoying platforming other terrorists, calling for political violence, calling for people to be capitally executed or sent to re-education camps. Clearly, this is not a person you want to be involved with. It's not that you agree with his views at all. You're yucking it up about the BL animes. Like, well, come on now.
Now, fun fact.
All right, fun fact time. I like fun facts.
Because I'm sure people are wondering. I was keeping an eye because I was looking at what was going on, and I loved looking at the stats because I don't know. Even while all this stuff was going down, I did find it terribly interesting to look at the back end stats of what was happening. And it was kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So the way YouTube works as well when you lose subscribers, by the way, is that it does it in increments of 10,000. And so sometimes,
well, I mean, if your channel's large enough, yes, it kind of like if you're small, it's like increments of 100, then it's increments of 1,000, then 10,000. They're in a multi-million range, so yeah, 10,000.
Some people, you know, they love to be like, oh, they lost this many, right? Not entirely true. I can actually tell you the exact amount of subs that we lost because I think it's interesting. And I think that it also serves value to
it is interesting actually
explain that it is not just people outside of Trash Taste. We did lose subs. I can tell you exactly how many right now. Let me find out. We lost 4,000 subscribers.
So this is actually kind of interesting. I mean, it kind of gives away a little bit of the back end. So Connor is able to access Trash Taste's YouTube analytics immediately. Now, I assume that all of the main characters on the show can access this as well. But in a lot of instances, it's managed by a production company, and Trash Taste is managed by, I believe, GeekX, which is just like a talent acquisition company. They kind of run the YouTube channel and everything. They do all the, I think Mei-Ling is their their producer or whatever. So I would have thought that she would have been doing all the back end stuff, and maybe she would be the one who would be editing these comments. But the fact that he can view these stats so quickly, because he looked like he just switched over a tab, right? That means that he's also got all the comments in his feed immediately. So it doesn't surprise me if they were personally deleting these comments, because when you go to your YouTube tab, you can see them like this on the front page. You just see like the last 10 comments or whatever. And if you see comments that are like, or you don't like this, or you think it's going to make Hasan upset and perhaps jeopardize your invitations to the LA Diddy parties, then yeah, maybe you just delete them. So this actually makes me maybe trust him a little bit less. But it's all conjecture, of course. Like, I don't know what's going on in his mind or anything.
It's not a lot, but I also think it is disingenuous, and I think it's bad to pretend like, you know, that people aren't unhappy. So like, you know, I'm like that's sad. I feel bad that 5,000, 4,000 people who watch Trash Taste feel like they can no longer watch it. That feels bad, and that's a miscalculation on our part. There was also a couple of stuff flying around that was interesting. So first of all, a lot of people were accusing me of deleting comments. We're not deleting comments. We never have.
Well, if we assume that at least 4 people have access to the channel, how can you say that they're not deleting comments? And also, it's not necessarily deleting them. It's hiding them from the channel, which is essentially the same thing. The reason you would hide someone from... So if you don't know, if you don't have a YouTube channel, YouTube does automatically censor comments depending on what your settings are. You can have a thing where you can... Basically, you have 3 settings. You have like, strict content AI moderation, where it's like if someone says like, off yourself, it'll just hide that from your channel. You have like moderate, and then you have light. I think there's no setting that actually says like every comment just is automatically approved. But typically, I keep mine on low, and then I go through maybe like every couple of days and I like approve comments. And basically, I approve everything unless it's like a direct link or a scam or something. Because I don't see any problem with like putting them up as long as it's not anything illegal, right? So it is possible that some people posted a comment and then the YouTube decided to not post their comment to the channel, which would appear from that person's point of view as they were having their comment deleted. Now, this is not what happened, though, at least in a few instances, because the top comments were being deleted, like comments that had thousands of reactions. And when YouTube allows the comment to go through and then it's already received like 1,000 likes on that comment, it's the top comment. That comment doesn't go back for secondary moderation. That has to be either removed by the channel user or hidden from the channel. Now, like I said, there's a difference between hiding and deleting. Deleting, it's deleted, it disappears. You go back to the channel, you will see it's gone. You won't get a notification that's deleted, of course. Now, when you hide someone from the channel, if that user goes back to the channel, they can still see their comment. It's like shadow banning them. So they won't get angry, but then they can no longer see or interact with the channel. So it's a way to like passively remove someone without making them upset. Because if you delete someone's comment, they get really angry. They're like, what happened to my comment? Why are you doing this on purpose? If you hide someone from the channel, they just don't see you show up anymore in their feed. And you're like, oh, I guess they just stopped uploading or something. I guess my comment destroyed them. Nice, I'm going to move on with my life. So it's kind of like a more passive way to remove people from the discussion. So I 100% believe that one of them, and maybe it wasn't Connor, maybe it wasn't even one of the main characters, but one of the producing staff or somebody was doing that. I don't believe that like 10 of the top comments, which had thousands of likes, just mysteriously disappeared because of YouTube's AI. I don't believe that.
YouTube has auto moderation, so naturally, if you put the word terrorist in,
yes, but auto moderation prevents the comments from going through on the initially. I mean, you can still post the comment, but then it'll appear for you, but it won't really appear for the channel. So there is auto moderation, but that's not going to remove these comments that had thousands of likes. And yeah, if you say something like terrorism or kill or, sex stuff like that, that'll be auto moderated. But if the top comment is something like, I don't like Hasan, and that has thousands of views, and then it suddenly disappears, that's not YouTube doing that.
Comment. A lot of the time, YouTube is going to flag that because why wouldn't they? And there was some of the comments were kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure some of them were, and some of them probably deserve to be removed. And you're perfectly within your rights to remove any comment that you don't like. I leave all of mine up because I think it's free engagement, and I don't really care what people say. But yeah, if you're trying to you want to be like brand friendly or something, it's like a business decision to remove these sort of things. And I think that's what happened here. It was a business decision to hide these people's comments. Now, lying about it is also a business decision, but it's a cowardly one.
Some of the language was inflammatory, and they're like, why is my comment being deleted? And they said like literally like the 5 key words that would get you banned. One other thing that I noticed is that when I looked at the comments, and I'd scroll, and I'm not.
There's actually some comments in his own chat that say like, Lamol I can't believe they believe that shit. Like, no, I don't think they're taking the bait on this one.
I don't know what's happening here, and I don't know what exactly is happening. But I would literally see comments, because I was watching the comment feed from the back end, right? So from like the admin side.
So he was watching the live comments coming in and watching it in real time, which makes it more likely that he was obsessing over it and decided to remove those comments. Now, like I said, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was somebody else, maybe it was the producer. But why are you watching the live comments coming in if you want to be removed from this discussion? You say that you don't. It's impossible to view what the real fans say, but you're clearly watching everything that's coming in. You're glued to this. You're addicted to watching these things.
Some comments would appear. There were negative comments, which is fine. I don't care. That would have 10 likes within like 1 second, which I thought was like, because on YouTube, the most important part of a comment's lifespan is not if it gets 5,000 likes. It's if it can get a lot, like a 10 to 20 likes in the first like 10 seconds, because that's what will bump it up. So
it's not necessarily true. That's more true for videos than comments. I assume there's some relation between how comment, like if a video like gets a lot of likes really quickly, then YouTube decides it's like trending and shows it to more people, and it's like a virtuous circle or a negative circle based on what reactions it's getting. I don't think that's how it works with comments at all. And it's not outrageous that in such a controversial issue with a topic that people like to talk about, that they go straight to the comments. Particularly in politics, this is very common that people go to as soon as you load up a video, you don't even watch the video, you go straight down to the comments. That's what you do. And then you see people that you like and you upvote them. So yeah, when this thing is like, these videos get millions, like I think the TrashTaste podcast gets like millions of views on almost every episode. And typically, because it's a podcast upload on a proper schedule, people tune in when it goes up at the same time every week, typically. So it makes perfect sense that these comments could get like so many likes so quickly. It's not outrageous.
I don't know what's going on there and how that works, but
like the implication here is that it's like bots that are liking their own comments to sell a narrative. I think that's cope. I think that's totally cope.
It's a thing. One other also thing that I noticed that I will just mention very briefly, I'm not going to get too much into it, is that there was obviously a lot of bandwagoning on it because people were, loving it and people don't like Hasan. And so people were jumping on it and making videos about it. There was a lot of stuff that people said that was just flat out not true and people were just making stuff up. Some people were saying like, oh, they didn't have this guest on. They said they were too controversial, but they had another guest on. That's never happened. That's just a bunch of lies.
This is like, I think I vaguely remember hearing about this, but I'm not sure who it was. About the guest. I'm not sure though.
So I don't know what that was about. There was also the only things that were disappointing from me, my perspective as well, that like really, I was like, man, what the fuck? Is that people would then make whole
Nux. So apparently Nux Taku was wanted to go on, or they were thinking about having him on. But then the whole Nux Taku and Some Ordinary podcast, is that what it was? Fell apart. Yeah, that's the one.
Narratives based around, because we had X on, that we then couldn't criticize any other creator. We couldn't, they're like, these people have changed. They're horrible, yada, yada, yada. And that was like, oh, okay, that sucks that people are just making assumptions, but not a big deal. But yeah, no, I mean, look, the reason why we didn't address it right away, we wanted to wait, was because a lot of people were, they were just demanding things. There were a lot of comments that were like, you need to delete this episode. Where I feel pretty confident in saying this, where if you ask TrashTaste viewers, do you want them to delete the episode? I think most viewers are sensible. They would say, hey, even if I don't agree with this episode or I don't agree with this one, I wouldn't want you to delete an episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they should delete it. They should just learn from their mistakes. I don't see how that would accomplish anything. That'd just be like hiding what you're ashamed of, I think.
I think that's crazy. Now, also, I want to make it very clear as well, in case you're watching this on YouTube, that because this is no doubt going to be a clip, that I'm sure that there's a good chance the comments, might get taken over depending on how big this clip is. Please think for yourself. Please don't just read top comment and form your opinion based around that.
Let's see what the top comment is, actually. I'm not a centrist is crazy. Let's see. It's very hard to know what stream clip is from because Connor wears the same shirt all the time. That's kind of funny. I'm looking. I think it's always more interesting to look at new comments than top comments. Top comments are kind of funny because there's sometimes some really interesting stuff there. But I think generally new comments are more interesting to me. See if there's anything. This one's pretty good. Hey, Connor, TT, so obviously TrashTaste. Is it short for throating terrorists? That's a pretty good one. Show some fucking balls, Connor, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I think that's what kind of makes me kind of interested in this, is because it's like, it seems like this is a no backbone post. And this is very reminiscent of like a Ludwig post, where everyone's always just like, have some fucking balls, Ludwig. Very fun. Also on YouTube, if you change like the top chat to the top chat is like the moderated chat that YouTube automatically does that I can't do anything about. But live chat is typically where all the good comments are. So I always try and switch it to live chat, and you should too.
Obviously, you're all adults. I trust you. And what I really appreciated it is that a lot of TrashTaste fans did seem to be just tired of people picking a side and being emotionally charged about it. And we're kind of just like, hey, maybe it's not for me. All good. Next episode. Or hey, I don't engage with this. I'm done. So I appreciate a lot of the sensibility in this, because I think, look, we live at a time where everyone is so emotionally charged and there's just so much rhetoric and so much, everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got a side. And so I appreciate that people sometimes can have a sensible approach to it. I think what you will always get from me is never a clear-cut answer. You'll always get an argument that I try to be as sensible as possible, and I try to...
Is he just saying that he's never going to pick a side? You'll never get a clear answer on what I believe, because I've got to wait to gauge the waters and see what the popular opinion is first, okay?
Consider all sides, and I'm not like a centrist or anything like that or whatever, or any fucking thing like that. The reason I don't talk about my political opinions online is not because I don't have any political opinions. It's just because I just think that
No, his political opinion is Elon bad. He said that actually many times.
Online space does not get anything out of me talking about it. There's nothing to engage. I don't think it provides any value. I just hate France, and I think that's a fair opinion.
Yeah, that is fair though. That is fair. Get fucked,
but
France.
You know, at the end of the day, I feel that the internet would be a lot better off if some people just knew how to shut the fuck up. And
it's at this moment he realized that he is that man and shouldn't have made this video. His smile and optimism gone. Oh no.
That's kind of where I stand, and so I'm of the opinion that, look, I think I'm an informed guy, but I also recognize that
I thought he didn't follow the. How are you informed if you don't follow the political discourse? How are you an informed guy if you had no idea Hasan was such a controversial issue? Come on now.
Internet doesn't benefit from me sharing my opinion.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with not putting your politics into your content. Like, if you put politics into your content, you're alienating 50% of either side. So if you want to target a big audience, that's perfectly fine, especially if you're just doing like anime shit or whatever. Because a lot of people like anime because of the escapism aspect. They don't want to hear about the real world when they watch their animes.
And it's okay also to not have an opinion. I think it's also okay to not give a fuck. Because I think it's kind of fucking exhausting right now.
See, this is kind of like actually telling his actual opinion. Like, politics is all exhausting because he's on the losing side, right? Not really. It's not really exhausting.
And look, you don't always have to be on 24/7. I think
That's true.
You can tackle it at your own way. You can tackle it in a way that you want. But, you know, I was inevitably going to talk about this at some point anyway, just because I wanted to talk about it as well. I didn't feel pressure to talk about it at all, but I thought there's a lot of interesting things to discuss, and I'm sure I'm going to look back at this clip and feel like I should have said 10 different things differently.
Or just nothing at all.
But I think the underlying point is the same. Of like, look, to the TrashTaste fans that are disappointed, sorry, you know, it is unfortunate. Are we going to delete the episode? No. If you did you unsubscribe? Okay, I apologize for that you felt the need to
It's kind of like, okay, I like that he says he's not going to delete the episode. That's good. Deleting the episode would accomplish nothing. It would just boost what it was, and people would go and look for the copies of it. But like, you apologizing that that you failed them and they unsubscribed. That's a weird thing, I think, to say. Just say like, all right, if you unsubscribe, I guess it's not for you. Okay, bye.
Unsubscribe. But at the end of the day, you know, there was we did not estimate what would happen. And then there's like a million drama channels that jump onto it, and it's like, okay, this is just, you know, it went from being the opinion of actual TrashTaste fans to very quickly becoming the opinion of like certain groups who.
Well, I mean, why don't these certain groups exist within your own fan base? I mean, I'm sure there was a large amount of the TrashTaste audience that doesn't want any politics at all, but inevitably 50% of the audience is going to be leaning one way and 50% is going to be the other way. And of those people, how are they not real fans if they're voicing their concerns? And don't get me wrong, I do think the channel was brigaded. I do think Hasan sent his buddies over there to go like all the comments and everything. He sent his entire stream to go, you know, I think he actually said like, get in there and reinforce the bros, something like that, something to that effect. And sure, there was people that had never seen TrashTaste before, of course, just going there to hate on Hasan, absolutely. But the idea that the people posting their displeasure were not real fans, I think that's just like completely cope.
Would just kind of rally around it. So yeah, it was unfortunate, and you know, people will come into chat or they comment and stuff, and they're like, hey, when are you know, how fucking dare you? Are you going to address this? Yeah. It's like, look, at the end of the day, if I address it, a lot of these groups of people are not going to be happy with anything or any kind of response, right?
As well.
Because if you say I'll delete it, a lot of fans who didn't give a fuck will be annoyed. If you say, all right, we won't delete it, then they'll get annoyed no matter what, and then maybe it's deleting is not enough for some people, you know. So if you start trying to chase apologies, you end up just pleasing no one and just looking like a coward. You know, which is why when, you know,
not necessarily. I mean, a really good example of handling controversy would be like Sunny V2. So Sunny V2 made the video why Chris is going to be a nightmare for Mr. Beast, and basically 80% of the internet started dogpiling onto Sunny V2. They never removed the video. They never commented on it. They just kept to their schedule and kept releasing videos. And 2 years later or 3 years later or whatever it was, everyone went back to the video and said, like, holy shit, Sunny was right. Like, they're like, this video aged like milk. And like Sunny's video wasn't actually that incendiary. Like it was fairly neutral. When I watched it, at least I thought so. That's a perfect example. You can either go really hard one way or really hard one way, but just don't go down the middle like Connor's doing right now. And I think he's kind of realized, just from his expressions and body language, that he's not doing the best here. He could just, like, if Connor had come out and said, like, look, Hasan's my bro. Maybe he said some shit, but I don't give a shit. He's coming on my podcast. It's my podcast. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. I could kind of at least respect him for that point of view. Or if they just said nothing and just moved on with their business. I mean, it is a job. It is their job. I could kind of respect that as well. But like this sort of take, apologizing that people aren't subscribing and saying, I'm not going to tell you my opinions when it's fairly obvious what his opinions are. It's just no backbone here. I think that's what, and that makes people annoyed.
Hasan saw it and he felt bad, and he was like, hey,
sorry, like age like wine, I meant to say, I think, rather than age like milk, whatever.
You gonna make a statement or anything? I was like, no, I'm not gonna make a fucking statement. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, sorry. You guys got me, okay?
You're not gonna please
I'm not gonna apologize for that. No.
People just want to be annoyed because they want to be annoyed right now. You didn't watch and moved on? I appreciate that.
And again, this is kind of like there's like a little bit of doom posting that seeps in when I see Connor. He's like, the world's like so fucked up right now. People just want to be annoyed. Like, no, not really. The world's actually a very wonderful place. Yeah, there's a couple bad things going down, of course. That's every generation has something bad that's happening. But I think the world's a pretty great place, honestly.
Thank you. I think the internet would be so much better if we had a bit more respect. But hey, look, that's how it goes. Okay. And you will engage in the cultural.
I wish he said that he said that's how it goes. I wish he said it is what it is. That would have been better.
I'm doing everything in my fucking power not to. Because I don't give a fuck. Because I feel like half the time, it's not even about like politics or anything like that. It's just about being right or wrong. Or being on the side.
That is politics.
Just pure tribalism, man. And I just don't want to engage.
Yeah, that politics is often tribalism. Yeah. Okay, you don't have to engage with it, but then don't invite on the most controversial figure on Twitch and then say, I don't know how this happened. It's a total mystery.
It's just bad for your brain. It just doesn't help.
Why?
I just feel worse whenever I read any of this shit. Or when I like whenever there's like absolutely demonstrably false things being said, I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I can't engage with this anymore.
He's debunking it. It's demonstrably false. It's been debunked by Snopes. How could you believe this?
Like, yeah. So, look, and that's why, again, I want to reiterate that we told Hasan because we saw him reacting to it and being like, hey, get in there and stop. He was trying to brigade against people who were brigading it, who they were. There was TrashTaste fans who didn't like it, and there was people brigading. And I told Hasan, I was like, don't do this. I think it's petty, makes you look bad. I think it's pathetic. So don't do this. Don't tell people to get in there and fucking brigade it. So I think it doesn't help anyone.
Well, I mean, it helps Hasan.
So yeah, that's that. That's that. That's pretty much all there is to it. I think it's not going to be a lot. I apologize to people who are not going to be satisfied with me talking about it in this way. This is the best you're going to get.
It's not. That's. I guess that's the end of it. That's the best we're going to get. It wasn't a great response. I feel like this is a total mistake. I don't believe that they weren't deleting comments, or at least someone on their team was. I don't believe for a second that they didn't understand the controversy or what Hasan's bread and butter were. It was Hasan was their friend. What I think what happened is that he asked to come on, or their production staff set it up, and none of them had the backbone to say no. We don't want this guy on because he's been platforming terrorists or anything like that. And they just thought they could get away with it. But the idea that they're not aware of the politics, or specifically Hasan's politics, is something that I just cannot believe. So, I mean, make your own opinion about it, but that's mine. All right. Speaking of anything for content, let's go back and check out what Ms. Maldavius Figtree is up to. Old, what is his name? Thor. Thor Jason. So last time we watched a bit of this, and people wanted to see more. So we'll go through some of the other parts of it. Sorry, I was listening on 2.0 speed again. All right, so let's see. Where were we? So this is from his video called Anything for Content, and this is responding to the numerous dramas surrounding pirate software over the last couple of months. Of course, it all began because he was a coward and he roached out on his team. No child left behind except for every child if you're on his team. So we see, last time we saw the Maldavius Figtree segment, and I think we saw the Heartbound segment. So let's see the other segments. Asmongold. Let's see what he says about Asmongold.
Now for the second one, Asmongold. I recently went on Asmongold's stream and I talked about a game called Ashes of Creation. People feel betrayed that I talked to Asmongold in the first place because they feel like his ideals will somehow seep into our community and they're inherently negative. They also feel very angry because a lot of people in the comments on things like Twitter were going and attacking them, and they feel like that's somehow a core part of our community. So
now it's also worth noting that Asmongold, who has a lot of experience with World of Warcraft, came out very quickly and defended Pirate Software, saying he did nothing wrong. He a good boy. He did nothing wrong in that dungeon. I can't believe that Asmongold, knowing what he knows about Warcraft, would make that when every other person that even has a slight understanding of that game knows that Fig Tree over here let people down. He was the mage. He had mana. He could have slowed people. He could have frozen people. He could have polymorphed people. He could have used his mana gem. He could have used his Rose of Power. But no, he was the first person out the door, and he was already halfway down back to Rivendell when the Balrog was slamming the hobbits into the ground. So the timing of this video released just after the drama hit, and a lot of people were suspecting that Asmongold was defending Pirate Software to protect his business relationship with him. And I think Asmongold sometimes has some pretty bad takes, but I think many of the times his takes are fine. But I have actually heard Asmongold saying specifically on his stream that he will try and protect business relationships no matter what, and he doesn't like after Elon Musk came out and like banned him or removed his check mark and said like, oh, fuck you and everything. He's like, yeah, I'd still work with Elon Musk. It would be a good stream. So Asmongold is very much a person who will do anything to accomplish his goals. Maybe that's not the way I want to say it, but yeah, maybe that's not the right way to. Maybe that's not exactly what I want to say. But Asmongold has said in the past that he's willing to sacrifice basically anything to make a really good stream, or what he perceives as like a very good stream. And a lot of people question this relationship. It's it's very interesting timing when these all came out, and this is a part that Thor does not mention in this segment.
Let's get into that. This video came out from a content creator called Narc. The reason that I had the conversation with Asmongold in the first place...
This is interesting because Pirate Software would go on to Narc on anyone that said anything naughty about him to both Blizzard and Twitch.
Is because of this. As you can see, it shows a desert that's kind of, well, drab and empty. Narc's video talks about how he felt betrayed by the developers, and he felt like the game was a scam, and he showcased this desert as an example of those feelings, saying the desert had not been completed and that there was nothing there. He had actually misrepresented the content here. You see, this is the very edge of the map in an area that's not finished in a very early alpha version of the game. And
yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to say, sorry. Asmon does what's ever best for his business. Yes, that's my feelings. And he actually said this live on stream.
Still in alpha, it looks like this. And it's really, really cool looking. By misrepresenting that...
So I'm not too particularly interested in the defense of this game as Ashes of Creation, but there is some interesting, not context, but interesting lore surrounding this game. He is using his name Maldavius in this, and I believe this is the game. Actually, this is kind of funny. I just remembered this, actually. So after he roached out and destroyed his team in World of Warcraft Classic, and he got banned from the guild OnlyFangs, which is like a content guild, he went back to playing this game, where he did a raid, and he killed his raid again, and then went on to blame somebody else. So it's a repeating pattern of behavior that he thinks he's really good at video games, but actually he's pretty bad. And he makes a lot of mistakes, but he can't be the one that's wrong. And he still, to this day, has not apologized for either of those mistakes. Now, the funny thing I've heard about this game is that he's got a guild. So he's got a very large following. Like his streams are very, very large. He's really exploded recently. I think in the range of like 10, 20, 30,000 live watchers, like huge, huge streams. And he has a large group of people that follow him through various online video games, one of them being Ashes of Creation. Now, I think it's Ashes of Creation. Maybe it's another. There's all these other. Maybe it's the Amazon MMO. I'm not really familiar with them, but my understanding is that in this game, you can form these like PvP caravans, and they want it to be like a PvP caravan guild. Fighting people and defending things, but they're so cringe about it that all the other guilds on the server have started to gang up on them and bully them because they're just tired of their shit and their troublemaking. And this is actually a repeating pattern of behavior as well, because another one of Pirate Software's little dramas, because it seems like every game he goes to, he basically gets laughed out and gets kicked out or gets made fun of or things like that. On EVE Online, he had another guild that was looking after, like, I think it was a pirate sector, and I've never played EVE Online, but it's like a ship, it's like a spaceship MMO. The game devs changed something, and he tried to complain to get it changed back to favor his team because suddenly they couldn't abuse whatever mechanic they're abusing, and they got completely blown the fuck out of the game. And he literally said that he was complaining to the devs of EVE Online, and then he said that they were picking on him specifically, and they changed this thing in the game just to spite him. So a bit of a main character going on here, but that's what I understand about EVE Online and Ashes of Creation.
On Asmongold's stream, he actually set the tone to 50,000 plus people. Now, to understand how big of a deal that is, Ashes of Creation's primary Discord only has about 100,000 members. Our community is about 20,000 of those. We play this game all the time, so I'm very invested in wanting to play this. I really enjoy it.
Do we like this bird design? I think this is too many wings. I'm not a fan of this one. He's got like his big wings, and he's got like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 wings. That's too many wings.
This game, as do many other members of our community. And the moment those calls went out saying the game was a scam, Asmongold's chat started to fill up with people echoing that sentiment because they had no other information. Right after this, Asmongold had on Stephen Sharif, the creative director.
All right, let's skip forward a bit because I'm not too interested in Ashes of Creation. Let's see.
Later made a disparaging video about the game, and Asmon didn't.
Let's see. I'm just going to skim through this. A lot of people talk about it. Yeah. Basically, the drama here is that he had Asmongold on, and Asmongold is seen as a right-leaning political commentator now, very much the opposite of Hasan, except much more popular than him. So the controversy in this, to sum it all up, is that he talked to Asmongold, and then Asmongold defended him after his Roach-out drama. So I think we can go on to the next one for this one. Let's go to Nepobaby. Let's see this one. Nepobaby.
Now for the next one, where people are calling me a Nepo baby. For those who don't understand the term, a Nepo baby is somebody who got their job only through nepotism, never accomplished anything in their career, and never did anything to deserve the position that they have.
Now, I've heard from inside people that worked at Blizzard that everyone while working there referred to him as a Nepo baby, and that he didn't really accomplish very much in his time there. I believe he was a quality assurance person there. But his father, if you've ever seen the Warcraft episode of South Park, so like you've probably seen this image as a meme before, though. So in the episode Make Love Not Warcraft, which was a very funny episode, I thought, there's this guy, the WoW nerd. This is actually the image of the cinematic director for World of Warcraft. Like, he was so. This is exactly what they looked like, and this is exactly what his room looked like. This is his actual apartment of the cinematic director of World of Warcraft, who helped make the game, make the episode of South Park. He worked directly with Matt and Trey from South Park. This is for Thor's father. So Thor's father was a pretty big person in Blizzard, like one of the top guys in Blizzard. And I think later in Thor's video, he actually shows his father. Oh, actually, probably just about to show him. So we'll see him in a second.
Father was the cinematic director for Blizzard for 23 years. He worked on basically everything going all the way back to the death and return of Superman and many other games, all the way up until now. And then he quit. He went off to Jagex, and he worked on old school RuneScape, I believe as a creative director of some kind. With that in mind, he now streams on Twitch under the name of Yearjoy. People think that I got my job at Blizzard specifically because of him. In reality, I only had help from him in order to do my resume. But you're probably not going to believe me to say that, so I'm going to let him say it.
I remember one time he had his boss had come to me because he came to me to apologize that one of his people talked to me, and I'm like, "What are you talking?"
The resemblance, there's a bit of resemblance there. He's got a bit more hair, but he kind of has that unkept look, and he's got all the boxes in the background. Kind of, yeah, I can kind of see it.
He goes, "Well,
this is what Thor says anyway. That this is a story related through Thor. That this is his father, and this is his father's ex-apartment."
Thor came up and was talking to you, and I don't think that's appropriate and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. I go, just so you know, I'm going to keep talking to Thor when he comes and talks to me because he's my son. This was 2 years after he worked for this guy, and this guy did not know.
So funny thing here, he actually got the timeline wrong. That was 4 years into my career.
Oh, that Thor was my son, and it's okay for Thor to come talk to me. You know, but it was in public. It was in the quad at work. But it's like, no, he can talk to me anytime, just like anybody else at Blizzard could come talk to me.
For those who don't understand what's going on there, my own boss didn't know who my dad was. It's really hard to be a Nepo baby when the people who control your career have no idea who your connections are.
Well, no, just because your direct boss doesn't know who you are doesn't mean that you weren't hired by a hiring director who knew who you were. I would say that it very much they knew about this, because typically these sort of relationships are known between companies.
Aside from that, for the people who have this narrative, both myself and my brother applied at the same time. I got the job, and my brother didn't. Where was the nepotism for him?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe your brother was just completely incompetent. But that doesn't necessarily remove the idea that you are a Nepo baby. I mean, you have to judge it for yourself with that. Whether he's a Nepo baby or not, I guess, who can say? Who can say? But one thing that is for sure is that Thor's been writing this story for like his entire career. He talks about how he was his dad worked for Blizzard for ages. He talked about how he worked for Blizzard for ages, and that's why you should listen to him as an authority. All right, so the voice changer one is a little bit silly, but we'll take a look at it anyway.
And now for the next one. People saying that I'm using a voice changer. I can actually just control the vocal range of my voice. Just go like this and talk all the way down to the bottom of your voice.
Now, the reason people say he's using a voice changer is because, and I don't think he's using a voice changer, but he's definitely using a condenser or some like editing here, because this is, you can hear it's being basted out. The bass is, or whatever is being boosted. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. Now, a lot of people do that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The voice changing stuff is kind of funny though. But when you listen, I'll just put this in here for a bit of humor. It's not really like an argument or anything. But the old Thor voice is funny. Thor Heartbound interview. Let me see. Here it is. Oh, sorry, there's another ad. Japanese. All right. So this is the old interview with Thor, and like the voice is absolutely different. So either he did voice training, or maybe he claims he had a second puberty, which does happen, I guess. But listen to the old voice versus the new voice.
And I'm here, guess where? With the game.
And also, this is a terrible mic, to be honest.
Of course, I'm here with Thor, founder of Pirate Software. How's your show been so far?
It's actually been amazing. It's our first time out here at Denver Comic-Con, and there's so many people, and they love the games, so it's been awesome.
All right, so that's his actual voice, or well, that was his old voice, I should say. This is his new voice.
Vocal range. This isn't that hard. Then you go like this all the way up into your nose and talk like this. Amazingly, people's voices change over time, and they do this at different ages as you go through life. On top of this, streaming and talking for 12 hours a day doesn't make that any easier or better. Outside of this, you can actually catch me on a bunch of other content creators' channels. I went and did a tailgate party with Esfand in real life.
I'm going to tell you right now, Dix is good. Yeah. As you can see.
Yeah, no, his voice does sound different. It's because he's got a very heavy condenser setting, or whatever. I think it's like the bass boost, right? Or like... I can't remember the exact thing, but he's absolutely got, you can change like the different things like the treble, the bass and everything. He absolutely has a set to have a deeper vocal range on his thing. That's not even an argument. That just is what he's doing. And many people do this. I mean, if I'm doing a voiceover, then typically I do it too. It's just funny that he copes about it, you know?
Everyone lines up for Dix.
I was in the middle of a forest with Bao.
A lot of mushrooms, like, you can only determine what they are by touching them or smelling them.
But this voice is different. He's like, this is my evidence, while he's going through the forest looking for the mushrooms, which is very funny, by the way. Also, almost as funny as wearing a mask in a forest. That is very, very funny. Like, holy shit. Imagine you go into a forest and you better cover your mouth with a mask just in case. Holy shit. That is quite entertaining. I just noticed that detail. But no, his voice sounds different on these clips.
Or tasting them.
I've been in the Streamer Award.
Let's listen to that again. Okay, this is his evidence that his voice is the same. Let's listen.
It's like, you can only determine what they are by touching them or smelling them or tasting them.
I've been in the Streamer Awards.
Yeah, this is obviously a bass boosted voice or whatever.
Speeches.
Since 2016, actually. So like, I cut it during that.
Look at that. It's CDog VA. It's Connor. We just saw Connor. What an interesting little crossover episode. Oh, this woman here. Oh wait.
I worked for the government that made me cut it.
No, actually, that's not the right woman. But there was like Connor was doing an interview for this is a Streamer Award, which is just a very incestuous LA group that Connor wanted to be a part of. That's why I think they let Hasan onto their podcast in this thing. The Streamer Awards is basically Ludwig's girlfriend decides who wins the awards, and it's so stupid. I think it was something like 20% of the actual voting comes from the audience, and 80% comes from other streamers. That's how they weighted in some of the categories. So it's just a popularity contest of the people that live in LA. But so Connor was doing a red carpet interviews. There was another woman. who's not, I'm not going to go up too much on her, but I think she was called, fuck, I forgot. She's an Asian chick. Maybe it's like Simply Sarah or something like that. There was a very crazy clip where she gets a handgun. Like, she's like, oh, this is my first handgun. I just bought it. And she looks straight down the barrel and everyone recoils in horror. She's like, what do you mean? It's not loaded. What's the problem? It's like, it's very, it's not Emiru. It's not Emiru. It was like Simply Sarah or, Extra Emily. That it was, I knew it was the alliteration was there. Extra Emily. So she was also doing red carpet interviews at one of these streamer awards. And then one time she gets a handgun and she just pulls out of the box. The first time she's ever held it and looks straight down the barrel. She's like, oh, wow, that's cool. And the guy sitting next to her is just like, no. And look, anytime you pick up a handgun, always assume it's loaded. That's just good advice. But anyway, that's nothing to do with it. That's just like a fun little detail.
And then I just never cut it before that either.
I also got caught by NMPLOL right out there on the street.
Nick, my chat wanted me to say hi.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, they're
his voice sounds different here too. And now, of course, there's different microphones, but obviously there's some post-processing. This is a digitally enhanced voice. That's just the way it is. And sometimes you have a nice mic and it like makes your voice really deep.
Yeah, so sorry.
But he's so sensitive about it. I don't know why. Just like, why would you even address this? There is some very funny like conspiracy theories. Like people say he went out to get the like Brazilian voice surgery or something, which I think it's just a joke. But some people have suggested he went out to get the man voice enhancement surgery, if that exists. I don't know.
Have a good day. Yeah, bye.
And you'll find that my voice is just about the same range the entire time.
No, it isn't.
It goes
up. It sounds different in all of those clips. Well, not really. They sound the same in every clip that isn't with your own microphone. It sounds like a normal voice.
When I'm excited or nervous, it goes down when I'm tired or bored, just like everybody else. It's really weird that people are obsessing about each and every little thing, but I guess that's the nature of the internet. If you don't believe me on this, I can't really fix this one for you, because anytime that I make something online, people would just claim it's doctored in some way. There were even people saying that they had hidden a voice changer inside of the microphone at the Streamer Awards, or that I got some kind of an implant in order to change my voice.
He's got the Bene Gesserit vocal enhancing implant, so he can use the voice on people to convince people that he knows what he's talking about in video games. Okay.
And now for the last one. People claiming that I cheated in puzzle games, specifically Animal and Outer Wilds. Both of those games are games that I played live on stream. We had a whole blast of fun with it. People in the community really enjoyed it, and they were very, very long periods of time for both games. I believe Outer Wilds was beaten in one sitting, but it was a very long period of time. And Animal, I think, took the better part of a week at that.
I heard that Outer Wilds is a very good game. My friend recommended it to me, and I think it's on my Steam wishlist, but I've never actually played it.
I think it was like 40 hours on stream and 80 hours overall, most of which was just us sitting around trying to solve puzzles and do weird shit on stream. A lot of people say that I cheated because I looked at my phone, because it was right here. Why would I cheat with my phone when I have a 3-monitor setup? It's a pretty easy way to talk
about. Just because you could cheat in a different way doesn't mean you use that way to cheat. That doesn't help the accusations. The accusation is he's looking up puzzles and tips about games, and apparently he does this in every game. And I'm inclined to believe this because he has an uncanny knowledge about very small details in almost every game that he plays. And he likes to pretend that he just has it off the top of his head. But it always seems to be that he's after looking at his phone, looking at his screens or something. Basically, the allegation is that he's looking up hints for the game or looking up trivia of the game to make it sound like he's more of an authority in the gaming industry. And he does this a lot. And particularly, he was doing this with World of Warcraft. And now, if you're doing this with World of Warcraft because you used to work there, but then when push comes to shove, you rat out and you think you have nothing to do. You can't even find your mana gem. You can't even find your Roads of Power. That's 1,000 mana right there. People start to question whether everything you said was bullshit. So yes, I think you cheated. But if you consider looking up hints or if you consider looking up answers cheating, which I do.
About this. I have one monitor here that actually shows broadcast information, usually using game capture, so I could put a guide up here if I wanted to in the first place. This one is just OBS. I could put it right next to chat there, and it'd be really easy to hide it because I'm constantly looking at chat anyway. Or I could put it on the right and put it on another one where I put all my social media stuff. It doesn't make any sense to use a phone to look at a guide while you're running through a game like that when you could just look at anything else.
Well, because you could just be lazy. Or somebody could send you a Discord message and it pops up as a notification on your phone, and then you look at the answer. Showing other ways you could cheat easily doesn't really help this. In fact, it worsens the situation.
From that, I have a very long history in beating puzzle challenges. So let's get into it. This is Potato Hat Security.
But I mean, like, you have a very long history of beating puzzle challenges. How do we know those are verifiable? Since whenever push comes to shove, you seem to make mistakes.
Our old Team Potato with a whole bunch of guides for DEF CON challenges that
now the DEF CON challenges, I think it's like a hacking challenge, something like that. Or now the allegation for this, I don't know too much about it, so I won't be able to talk with much authority on this subject in particular. But I have heard that this is a team event, and that allegations have been that he's just been riding his team's coattails.
throughout the years. My name on here is Jason Thor Hall. I go by the middle name of Thor for a reason, because it is my middle name. Brett Beerhouse is the person that I got to go run with. He's a good buddy of mine back from the Blizzard days. DEF CON 22 was the first challenge that we actually went up against. And we didn't win, but we beat it. There was a shitload of puzzles that went along through this, and we had a blast doing this.
Are these fun? This might be fun. It's like cryptography or something. That's kind of cool.
A lot about cryptographic methods. I didn't know anything at the time when I first stepped into this arena back in DEF CON 22. That was back in 2014. After this was over, I went home and I tried to learn as much as I possibly could about cryptographic methods, hiding information, and reading books like this one.
You notice how his voice changes the second he walks away from his microphone? He reveals his real voice the second he leans over to get the book. Listen to this.
Could about cryptographic methods, hiding information, and reading books.
There's his real voice. If he's not right next to the microphone, it doesn't work. It's the proximity effect. Exactly. So, I mean, proven? It's
Like
kind of
this
funny.
one, called Code, The Hidden Language of Computer Hardware and Software by Charles Petzold. Awesome book, shitload of methods in it. I have a ton of books like this now because of this. And I went home and started making my own on a website called potatoplaid.net. Made it with Brett. It's actually defunct now, but it had a ton of our own custom puzzle challenges on it. Then we went back to DEF CON 23, and we teamed up with a team called Council of Nine. After doing really well in the first challenge in 22, they wanted to have us on the team, and we agreed to join them, and we won.
So was it 11 people? So in a puzzle solving challenge with 11 people, you won. This means you're good at puzzle solving. I mean, maybe you just did nothing. Like in a group project, there's always that one guy that doesn't do anything. Doesn't really prove or disprove anything, honestly.
I got to write up this entire write-up this year as well, and we solved a bunch of cool shit together. One of the ones that I really had a blast working on was specifically the audio one, where I got to dive into DTMF using specifically Audacity to visualize the information. I love this.
The audacity of it. No, I used to use Audacity as well. It's a very good free audio editor. If you don't need to pay for it, you can get it. Audacity's great.
These types of things are really awesome. So whenever I play a puzzle game and I know that there's going to be cryptographic methods involved, I eat that.
He made the coffee. Wrong one. He made the coffee. I've heard that allegation. That's all he did at Blizzard as well. He just go around making coffee for people on the quality assurance team. Like someone literally left out a comment on my video. They said, and I guess there's no way to back this up. They said, I used to work for Blizzard as well, and he just made coffee there. Which is about as verifiable as anything he says as well, I suppose. It's probably just a made up story. Who knows?
Shit up, dude. And if you're wondering if I actually did go to that, here's the badge for it. DEF CON 23. It's a radioactive badge that was actually obtained through winning that puzzle challenge that year. On the back, you can see that there's a Lichtenberg figure, which is hit by plasma to create a small lightning configuration across it. There's also another puzzle on the back of this that was solved by CryptoK on Twitter. It's a running key cipher, and he built a way of cracking certain running key ciphers. After that, we went back at DEF CON 24.
It's radioactive just like his community.
And we won again. DEF CON 24, we got a robot head. This is another black badge for winning a DEF CON challenge that is particularly hard. DEF CON 24 was actually written up on Council of Nine's website because I was still running with them at the time as well, but I think their challenge page is defunct now, unfortunately. I wish we still had it because I really, really enjoyed that challenge and doing that with them. The next year I left and I went and joined what is called the Psychoholics. That's a new team that I'm on. I have a lot of really good friends with them and over there, and you can actually see a number of them show up in chat from time to time. And I still...
Sorry, this isn't anything, but it's very annoying. You can see a little black bar here. This is where his green screen isn't properly reading, and it's very frustrating to me. Fix it. Just put a mask here. Just put a mask here. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Go to DEF CON.
Nobody else can even notice.
At DEF CON 25, there was no badge challenge. The normal cryptographic challenges we usually do wasn't present there because Lost, the one who runs those, didn't go. So we did instead a telefreaking challenge, which was really, really fun, and I didn't realize it was going to be there. There was a guy who ran up to me, and he threw a badge in my lap, and he said, "You dropped your badge and ran away," and it was for the Ellingson Mineral Corporation, which if you know hackers, you know what that's from. It had a phone number on it. I called it, and I was like, wait a minute, this is something, and I brought it back to the team, and then we started cracking on it. We did.
Now, there's actually like a side note here. I remember Thor telling a story about then he went to one of these DEF CON challenges, and he went to someone's room, their hotel room, and they had like a Stingray device set up, which I think is a device that captures people's Wi-Fi codes or login credentials. So basically, you set it up in a hotel room where there's going to be a convention, and then it just collects all this random data about them, and then you can use that for malicious materials and stuff like that. Thor claims that he saw this device. He took out the memory card, erased all the data, and then alerted the FBI, which is destruction of evidence and actually makes it harder to catch the guy, but okay. So he's a big hero as well that saved the entire con from this terrible Stingray device, apparently. Let me see if I can find this. I think it's just called a Stingray, right? I don't know too much about Stingray. Okay, sorry, I'll just show you this. Yes, I typed in just Stingray and I got pictures of Stingrays. Oh, you know what? That's funny. Actually, it reminds me of something. Stingray device. Yeah, it's like cell phone surveillance device. There it is. It's like this or something. Sorry. That reminded me since I saw those pictures of stingrays, it reminded me that there's a new spider update in Australia, and I might talk about this later, but I don't want to scare anyone with spider pictures. But basically, there's a really horrifying spider in Australia called the Sydney funnel-web spider, and it can kill you in about 15 minutes. It has fangs that are long enough to bite through a shoe or your toenail. It can stay underwater for 2 hours, so you typically find them falling into people's pools outside their backyards in Sydney. They only live in Sydney, right around the city, apparently, for some reason. And it's about 2 inches large, I think. It's a big. If you look for Sydney funnel-web, it's a very disgusting, very freaky looking. It's like the worst kind of spider you can have, is it looks terrifying. So that's the Sydney funnel-web spider. They just discovered a new spider, which is exactly the same, except it's 2 times larger. And I kid you not, they've named it the Newcastle Big Boy. And Newcastle is a suburb of Sydney, I believe. But it's the Newcastle Big Boy. Fresh spider update in Australia. Not funnel web. So funnel web spiders, they make like a tunnel of web. So it looks like a funnel. So it's like a tunnel web spider, funnel web spider. Just search for the Newcastle Big Boy or funnel web spider, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But interesting fact about those spiders is their venom does not work on dogs or cats. So actually, if you have a cat or a dog around and they eat it, it's good for you. But like no shit, when I lived in Sydney, we used to have to check our shoes every morning, like bang the shoes against the ground to make sure no funnel webs are inside, because they come inside and they like to hide in places. So shoes is like a prime spider territory. So there's a bit of a nightmare for you.
Didn't sleep for about 72 hours, and we won. This is the black badge for DEF CON 25. Since Lost wasn't there, they made gold coins, which isn't as aesthetically cool, but it is still solid gold, so, kind of rad. Outside of this, I don't just solve these, I build them. This right here is actually built for the Heartbound ARG. Heartbound.
Okay, can you stop working on the ARG? So an ARG is like a game that's outside the game. It's like basically it's a publicity stunt sort of thing. It stands for alternate reality game. Maybe you should finish the game Heartbound first before you work on the ARG for Heartbound.
The game that I work on that I talked about earlier in this video has a massive cryptographic challenge in it. And I'll give you an example of one of the puzzles that I built for this. And yes, all of these puzzles are built by me. Right here, I gave them an image of a whole bunch of different squares of lettuce.
Okay, that's like you're the fucking Riddler. Okay. This doesn't disprove that you haven't been cheating in video games, because you're the fucking Riddler. Oh, riddle me this, stream chat. How could I be cheating on by using my phone when I have 3 screens to already cheat on? You'll never find me, Batman.
I didn't tell them what it is. There's no other information for them. It's just images of lettuce. If they lay them all out in a row, it actually creates a strip of 0 through 9 squares, which means...
No, don't reveal the lettuce code. No, the genius of the lettuce code is being revealed before our eyes. You can't teach people how a magic trick is done.
A grid of numbers. That grid of numbers doesn't go over 26 at any time, so because of that, it actually comes out to letters. Good, this operation is complete. Proceed to lettuce squares, and the next puzzle is lettuce squares. But there's other harder puzzles in this as well.
His puzzle is so intricate and so boring, no one's attempted it, so he has to show on stream, because he's like, guys, why aren't you doing my ARG? Okay, why aren't you just doing my ARG? It's so genius. You have to. I'll show you how I did it. This is like when you have like such a good joke, or you do something, you have to show people how smart you are. Like, if it's so great, then people will figure it out. You don't need to show people.
Up here, and we find, where is it? Truncated. There it is. Truncated was one of the ones that I gave them, where I just gave them an image. This image is a picture of a zipper, and that's it. The zipper is actually a zip file, and inside is a WAV. That WAV is called celestial bodies. If you visualize the spectrogram of that audio, it comes out to all these weird symbols.
I think what happens when you unzip the zip code is you get to see the furry dongs that he was making with literal minors, developing these sexualized furry avatars in Second Life. It's the unzipping as the dog's schlong comes out for you, or the ferret, I guess, the ferret schlong.
Celestial bodies is a reference to moon type, which is a precursor to Braille. This is a message written in moon type, and it says this fragment is lost among the stars.
So it's literally moon runes. Okay.
The stars.png on the server is actually this image here, which is a color-shifted version of the night sky. In the EXIF data for that are these numbers here. They had to determine that those were DTMF tones. As you can see, it's got one of 6971336. So you go to 6971336, and that's the number 2 on your phone pad. Whenever you hit a number on your phone pad, it comes out to 2 tones, dual tone multi-frequency. Plays them both at the same
No, because I don't have my phone sound enabled.
Same time. The 697 hertz tone and the 1336 hertz tone. So that's a 2. They had to figure out that all of these came out to all those numbers, and then that comes out to the next message, which in this this case was boot record, and that brings them to the next page. This is a massive series of cryptographic challenges that has spanned years, and it's something that I built in the...
You know, if you'd use these years you worked on the ARG to finish your video game, maybe you wouldn't have to make the section in part 2 of your video where it's why you haven't finished your video game. Maybe less lettuce puzzles, more finishing your early access game.
Background so I can stay sharp for things like DEF CON. Puzzles are my life, and it's really, really absurd to me that people just gloss over...
I think we've solved the puzzle of why his game's not finished.
All of this because streamer looked at phone. So now let's look at the timing. My video for Animal Well here came out on July 27th, 2024. Except that's not when I played it. It's also only 7 hours and 41 minutes long, which wasn't the full runtime. As shown on Twitch Tracker, you can see that I played it from May 11th to May 19th, a total of 39.4 hours on broadcast. As shown on Steam here, you can see that I actually played for 83.2 hours because I was playing both on and off.
Riddle me this, Batman. Which Pokemon, in terms of breeding, is most compatible with a human?
Stream trying to practice different things and see if there was different puzzles that I could solve along the way. Inside of this, you can also see that the game released on May 9th, 2024, which was only 2 days before I actually started playing it. From there, I asked people to send in any type of guides that would contain all the puzzles that we solved throughout it, and those came out after we stopped playing the game. May 19th, May 22nd, and this one on May 23rd. There are likely other guides that exist out there, but I don't know about them. The people who ended up helping us solve this were people in chat. We solved it together as a community with 13,008 people in the chat. My guess is that there would be a lot of people who were there from the puzzle solving community as we did this. Tons of people were working together.
Well, of course they're in the chat. They can't play the video game. It's not finished yet.
Was the point of doing this. All of this was. And on top of that, I ended up going on to go and interview Billy Basso, who's the developer of the game, and got the physical version of the game, which just arrived the last few days, which we're planning on beating this together as well. And that's everything.
Instead of finishing his video game, we're going to play more video games. Good to know.
From me. Now that everything's in one place, it'll be much easier to just direct people to something like this so they can choose which thing they're angry about.
Also, just looking at him, posture check. Posture check, chat. Don't slouch over that. That's bad for you. Okay.
Get extra context for it, and if they decide to still be angry about it after that, it's fine with me. I would much rather have this kind of information out there so that people have some other type of voice in the room rather than all of these different content creators releasing content nuke and expose videos without any additional information, especially after they never reached out to me in the first place to find out what was true or not. I understand.
If you haven't even solved all of his puzzles, how could you criticize the man?
And the idea of any...
Haven't you finished the radish puzzle? You have to finish your radish puzzle before you can have your dessert puzzle.
Thing for views and trying to put content out as quickly as possible, but you guys could do better than that, honestly. To the rest of my community, I'm sorry you're having to go through this and watch this kind of shit go on every day. At least now you have some kind of ammunition to throw at people that are causing more drama in the future.
Yeah,
anyway,
just throw more lettuce at them.
I hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll be back on stream tomorrow. See ya.
All right. Oh, you know what? Another thing about Pirate Software is, like, you read the name Pirate Software and you think like, well, he's one of those base developers who are like, hey, look, if you can't afford my game, pirate it. And then maybe one day you buy it, show me some respect or something. There are developers out there for indie games that actually are like that. And that's very cool. I appreciate that because a certain percentage will always pirate your game anyway. And, having some understanding that maybe they can't afford it right now or something is very cool of them. Now, of course, you don't have to do this, but that's very, it's very nice. Pirate Software is very anti-consumer. And like he even tried to shut down someone that was campaigning for preventing like old games from dying because of licensing issues, like after they shut down like live service, things like that. He hates consumer rights, and he only called his website and his company Pirate Software because when you type in Pirate Software, like when you want to pirate a game, it comes up. He did this literally to boost his own algorithm searches, and this is something he talks about, I think, a few times actually, not just in this but in other things as well. So if you pirate his game, he's very upset with you. And not only that, if you make a game with edits of his voice, because there was like a Pirate Software video game this one made where you have to like type things on a keyboard and it would say voice lines from him. His lawyer sends you a cease and desist and a DCMA on Steam, and he literally DCMA'd an indie Steam developer because they were making fun of him. So very anti-consumer, and it's all just a ruse. Some people have also criticized him because he uses his middle name Thor, because Thor's like a cool name. But I don't really care about that. But it seems like his entire life is just a big fucking work. And he's just been tricking people into thinking he's like based, but he's not. Very sad. Very sad because like I discovered Pirate Software about 3 weeks before his big expose came out, because I think, like many people, I saw the YouTube shorts. I was like, oh, this is some interesting background on StarCraft 2 and World of Warcraft and stuff like that. This is interesting. I might check out this guy's stream. Then like World of Warcraft Classic started, and I started watching the hardcore race and to Ragnaros, those sort of things. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I can watch Pirate Software. This is great. And then like 3 weeks later, he's just like exposed. I'm like, oh man, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? Why does everyone I like turn out to be terrible? Oh well, that's my cross to bear, I guess. But I think that'll just about do us for tonight, I think. But before you go, I'll set up a redirect. Oh, look at this. Apparently there's new criminal charges coming from Johnny Somali. Interesting. I might just send you over there to say hello to Andrew-san. We should tomorrow night. I'm not sure if I'll be streaming, because if I have like a guest or I have to entertain someone, I don't typically stream on that night, and I might get back in time, might not. I need something I need one more topic this week. So I'm still looking for a topic to talk about. We could always just do the Ricada updates. It's kind of cringe though, but I've got a lot of cringe clips I need to cover on him. And also I want to show you the PowerPoint presentation about how much I've grifted off the whole situation. Money. No, but I think that'll be fun. And we haven't really talked about him in about a month, I think, actually. I think the last one was in January, right? But basically he's going on to this fat pedophiles channel and saying a lot of weird shit. A lot of it is just absolutely insane. I can't believe he's actually bringing it out. Dino Stream's happening on the weekend. There'll be another weekend 12-hour Dino Stream this week on either Saturday or Sunday, but not a weekday stream, because I feel like the Dino game is really good if you do a long sitting, and I can only do like 3 or 4 hours on a weeknight at the moment. But on the weekend, yeah, sure, of course, there'll be more dinos. What dino do you want to see? I've actually prepared a new crocodile for the stream. So I launched up a crocodile in my free time, and I've already parked it next to the ocean, and I've already developed the saltwater development. So we can already start a new saltwater crocodile. He's so cute. He's a tiny crocodile still. He's still a baby. He's not even fat yet. So we've got another crocodile ready. Maybe we'll do some more Dilophosaurs. Maybe we'll start like Carnotaurus or Stegosaurus. We'll see. We'll have to wait to see about that. Apparently people said that like Will Heron's doing something. Maybe I'll check on that. I think Will Heron's a good guy though. Like, I mean, he edits the clips to make me look smarter, so I like him. But is it that he likes Nick now, or he hates Aaron? Because you can dislike both Aaron and Nick. You don't have to pick a side. This isn't like Hasan versus Asmongold or something. We'll see. That'll be coming up. Like I said, the Nick update streams with all the cringe clips I have to get through. Will be either this week or next week. Do a rundown of Greer. Maybe people are interested in Russell Greer, but there's a lot of backstory for him. And to be honest, I think I saw most of my stuff I know about Greer from Nick's streams when he had who's that parrot chick? Was it Sriracha or something? And she was talking about it. So I feel like it's kind of like stuff that I already know about. But I've kind of already gone over once, so I don't really want to go over again. Maybe there is updates in the case, so maybe we'll see. You can always send topics to me via stream messages, chat, post comments if you're on the replay crew. If you like the stream on the replay queue, I appreciate that a lot. Email, Discord, and everything like that. And I guess we'll see you later. Peace, guys. Have a good one. Oh wait, you know what? We have to play a clip to run us out, right? How about this one?
You're letting me go? So that's it after 20 years. So long, good luck?
I don't recall saying good luck.